to reality. When I stare at each and every day, would they be scared of me? Might they be proud of me? Would they have nothing to say? Hey, 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 I ain't the ghost that you think I am. I ain't the ghost. Hey, 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 ain't no tall drink of water for Uncle Sam. Ain't no tall drink of water. I'm no idealist. I think myself a realist. I think myself a realist. And how's the world keep spinning in a fashion that it does? Don't none of you remember who you once were? Remember who you once were. In a world of perfect strangers, love goes to the most familiar face. Love goes to anxiety, most of which in this crooked place. Most of which in this crooked. Hey, 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 I ain't the sinner that I used to be. I ain't the sinner. Hey, 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 I sit before judgment with a guilty plea, and it's hard to smile when you're suicidal. I turn on my family's horses into glue, just for one more good look at you. I've been fine and I've been wide. I even sailed to the seven seas, but I ain't never seen that something that's still not, still not me. Pick up my suitcase, head on down the road, and baby, when I come back, by then my love might have even sold ourselves. I don't want no skinny woman, a woman who's got no sense of style. I want a girl with a diamond ring on her finger, one who knows how to say nothing. I just can't find this girl nowhere. Until I do, I'ma stay alone. If we can learn to love each other, then the truth will set you free. Oh, maybe pain and sorrow, there's no tomorrow, will take a hold of me. Baby, 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 all alone. Baby, won't you come along and hold me? I ain't the seventh son, but I know where I'm from. Let's head on, head on, head on down the highway.
All right. How's everybody doing tonight? And yes, yes, Matt,
okay.
I am back. Much to your dismay, I am here now.
No.
That's okay.
Right.
Nothing lasts forever, I guess.
That's right. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. Well, you did for a couple weeks there, but no, you guys did awesome.
One day I'll get that power back.
Probably sooner than you
One
think.
day.
Technically, I still have it. As soon as you end the stream, I could always start back up and do whatever I want.
You've given him the keys to the kingdom, Greg.
That
you fucked up.
Indeed, I probably did with that one for sure.
I mean, look at his face. Super sus.
I know.
just-
Look at him.
I know what you're talking about.
He's got a little bit of that, crazy axe murderer thing going on.
Yeah,
Listen, all I'm saying is just don't do something to make me angry. All right.
That little that scary looking doll he has off to his left there.
Not scary.
It is, man. It scares me.
You're afraid of the weirdest things. This is just a cosmic god killer. Nothing scary about it.
A cosmic god killer. Okay. All right.
Kirby lore is actually crazy.
Kirby is pretty interesting.
Well, I have to say, I'm glad to be back, and getting rolling again, getting some stream time, all that fantastic stuff. Thank you very much, Harper. You are very awesome, ma'am. And that, by the way, gives you 2 entries for we are actually going to be giving away some TTRPG hardcover books for both The Witcher and Cyberpunk Red.
I just needed you to know.
And for every $5 tip to the channel, you get your name put in there. So it'll be fantastic.
Get your name put in for some of that content, and let me tell you, it's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, just an FYI for those who are wondering, all the proceeds from this will be going to improve the channel. So, and for shipping of the books, obviously, because that costs money too. So, but yeah, thank you, Artel Sorian, for their gracious support in that endeavor, and for actually, the support they gave us through GaryCon, and supporting the stories that we created and ran, which we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm excited. I am very excited. I had some really, really awesome people that I got to meet over the GaryCon weekend. Big thank you to all the players in the 8 wonderful sessions that I ran at the con.
So many sessions.
Yeah, Greg. Needless to say, Greg was probably dead tired after that.
Dead tired enough that the con funk got me, and then I spent a week like laying around doing nothing, feeling miserable. So now I'm ready to be back to work. And
the classic con crud. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah,
by a lot of people, con crud.
Yep. Where's your nomad? All right, Aaron.
We ate him. He's dead.
No. He'll be back.
Yeah,
he'll be back.
Curly never dies.
Curly's unkillable.
Yes, Curly is most awesome. So let's break right into that. I'm sorry, man. Your show and I'm doing all the talking. So
no problem. Well, again, as Greg said, we're taking a bit of a detour from our regularly scheduled program to do a bit of a post-mortem on our GaryCon adventure. And for those of you guys who are tuning in, this is the update log. I'm Rob, your host, and with me are Greg and Matt, my co-hosts. And Greg is showing off some swag that he got from
Yeah, I'll talk a little
Gary
bit more
Cohn.
about that later, but yeah,
Yep.
some most
yeah, we're-
awesome swag.
Now you just need a gun to fire those dice.
Hey, the dice are the gun. I mean,
I was gonna say.
It'll deal random damage to whoever gets hit by him.
Yeah, so this is episode 46 of the update log. We're gonna tuck into our Gary Con experience, just because a lot happened, a lot of good stuff happened, a lot of fun and interesting shenanigans were had at all of our games. So yeah, with that, by the way, just before we really kind of tuck into the meat of this stuff, is anybody in our audience, did anybody go to GaryCon, whether virtually or in person?
I mean, for the last bit, we have probably at least one or two of you guys here, mostly probably from Greg's games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because those people are the most awesome of awesome people. Lots of fun.
I think you're biased, Greg.
Unholy Pawn. Well, I am a little biased. I got an opportunity to meet some really, really great gamers and people that and hey, I got to run games like a table away from Ed Greenwood all weekend long. So
for those of you who don't know, Ed Greenwood is the creator of the Forgotten Realms setting in Dungeons and Dragons.
Momo, there he is, Dark Pawn.
Momo money. Hey, welcome in, Unholy Pawn. Excuse me. Dark Pawn is his other alter ego.
Many aliases, absolutely.
So I guess. So for those of you who did attend GaryCon, whether you played with Greg or not, how was your experience? Well, I know if you played with Greg, it was an awesome experience because he is a great DM.
Oh,
so
that's now you're embarrassing me.
I mean, I'm just being honest. You are a very good DM.
I mean, it's a good. I mean, yeah, you're a good DM, and also we all put a lot of effort into the adventure that you ran.
We did.
Specifically the Cyberpunk one, but
we
wow. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Very generous.
Yeah, so can I get a show of hands, I guess, in the chat? You can kind of sound off in the chat. So, how many of you guys played in Greg's games? Whether it was The Witcher or Cyberpunk.
So quick FYI, we have just entered into a hype train. That's the first hype train that we have done on this Twitch channel.
Oh, look at that. Hype fucking train.
Very much.
Yeah,
Aaron,
that's the first hype train we've ever had.
Who has put into that. Absolutely. As a matter, you guys have motivated me now, so now I have to do something as well. So here we go.
Keep the train going.
You bet.
I'll be honest, I don't know what a hype train is, but I know it's a thing, and it's good.
A hype train is basically... Hey, welcome in, Gemma. Welcome in. Long time no see. It's good to have you here. Basically, a hype train is more or less like, I guess, a train of subs. People just keep subbing and subbing and resubbing.
Maybe you
so, speaking of, thanks for the
resub. 8 months. Damn, not months. Yeah, 8 months. Yeah, so this is gonna be 9 months. You haven't used Twitch before, where you apparently you picked it up really quickly. What do you want, Nugget?
Well, welcome in. It's a fantastic platform for so many things, good and bad. I'll put it that way.
It's got its pros and its cons.
Yeah. Momo Money is here. Yes, he is.
Yeah, so it's looking like 2 or 3 of you folks have played in Greg's games. So you are aware of how good of a DM he is. What did you guys think of the story? Because that was a piece of content that the 3 of us worked on for quite a bit. Like what, 3-4 months, something like that? 3 months? Somewhere in
that ballpark.
Yeah.
everything that we did for GaryCon was put together in a time span of about 5 months. So
5 months, okay.
and we probably spent
Okay.
4 months of that 5 months just working on Beyond the Wall and getting that prepped. So
Yes.
Yeah, it was mostly on that, which, I mean, proud of the work that we did. And, we'll probably be pulling back a few of the curtains on the
We
on
will.
our process of making
Today.
that today.
Yeah.
Hey, yes.
More money. I'm interested to hear about the shenanigans that character got up to. But yeah, go ahead, Greg.
We're gonna have a chance. We're gonna have a chance to get to meet, maybe not Momo Money, but we will get to meet the player behind Momo Money. I think it's the perfect time to just mention really quickly, with our Discord. If you're not part of our Discord, then go join our Discord. We are looking at developing some opportunities to come and game with us personally. We do have a personal game that we run every Saturday night that's been pretty locked up, pretty private for a long time. But we are going to be opening a seat to invite some people in for some one-shots, probably. Give you an opportunity to RP with us, the three of us, and to RP with the rest of the cast that we have here on the channel, and a couple of other individuals that we've been playing with for a long time that are kind of our behind the scenes guys. So it will be awesome. If you're not part of the Discord, go join the Discord. Nifty, absolutely. All right. So, well, do you want to roll into this?
Yeah.
I mean, we've identified we got a couple of players from the game here, so let's like tackle the virtual stuff first.
Yes, let's do the virtual stuff first. I guess I will kick us off since I am the host. So I was the individual responsible for the not Cyberpunk campaign. I'm taking Matt's thunder over here. I actually did the Witcher virtual camp. Well, it was a one shot. It was called the series of unusual events in Vizima. Vizima is a capital city. It's Temeria in the Witcher universe, and basically the premise for my one shot was a murder mystery. Basically, a town about 10 miles outside of Vizima proper was experiencing a rash of deaths. Now, given that particular time of year, the general consensus of the township was
it wasn't me. I didn't do it.
It wasn't Greg. No, Greg was he was somewhere else during the round of deaths. But basically, it was around the time of that particular season. It was chalked up to starving animals. It was a host of characters. We had a witcher, we had a doctor, a criminal. One was a mage, and who's the other one? I'm trying to think off my head. Man-at-Arms. So we had an interesting and eclectic cast of characters.
And a bard. We had a bard too.
Yes, that's right, a bard. We had Jaskier. No, it wasn't Jaskier, but actually no. An individual named by the name of Liv played the bard and played it to perfection. His name was Omdir. I think I'm pronouncing it properly. It's my own freaking character, but I can't even remember it. Anyway, and basically they were the group didn't show up. I didn't do the whole trope of everybody meets in a tavern. Ironically enough, though, while everyone entered the town from a different way and under different circumstances, they all ended up at a fucking tavern.
Hey, it's a natural gathering place for people.
I swear to God, they all ended up in a damn tavern. It was absolutely just aggravated me because I don't want to do that.
Where else are you gonna meet?
It's like the fantasy RP mainstay. I mean, where's the tavern? You know,
It's been used every fucking time. Oh, so you start a tavern. But anyway,
I mean, maybe
so
next time I'll be at the pastry shop.
right? Who would want to solve a murder mystery eating a bunch of croissants? Come on. So they all entered the town kind of in different ways, and again, yeah, they ended up at the tavern. The bard Amdar was played by Liv. I don't know if she's here or not, but she did a fantastic job with that character. They definitely played the character to a T. So for those of you unfamiliar with The Witcher TRPG by Artal Sorian, it is very much, it plays into the strengths of the Witcher universe, meaning it's gritty, it's dark, it is violent, and those characters that are made, the professions that are in there that are not necessarily combatants, are, I don't want to say they don't have their place or they're useless or what have you, because they're not. Every character, every profession has its job. But it's not like some other TTRPGs where even characters like your healers or your supports can is there unicorn sex? There wasn't unicorn sex in this one. No.
Sounds like sounds like there's room for improvement then.
Probably, yeah.
Where are you guys going? What?
Ask Matt.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're going where no man has gone before.
Apparently.
I thought I was supposed to be the naughty one on the screen. Now we're talking about unicorn sex. I mean,
yeah. So.
Whoa.
Yeah. There we go. There is the Danger Gal dossier from Cyberpunk Red. Yeah, that's one of the newer pieces that Artal Sorian has put out.
Just released at Gen Con 2023. Yeah, fairly
So,
new.
Yeah, within the last, I'll say
6 months?
8-9 months.
Maybe 8-9 months.
8 months. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so basically, give you guys the kind of the gist of it. Turned out that the rash of deaths were actually being perpetrated by a pack of werewolves. This pack of werewolves being led by a little girl named Annabelle, who it was assumed had been killed a couple of years prior, in a similar seeming situation where her and her family had been killed, and the deaths had been blamed on a pack of starving wolves. Turns out it wasn't, and she and her family came back to reap some vengeance, not necessarily because they were ill-treated, but because they weren't given proper, like their bodies weren't cared for properly. So they took issue with that. It was interesting leading up to the confrontation with Annabelle and the pack. Ironically enough, Annabelle, the little girl, was the leader of this whole shindig. The lead up to it was interesting in that my players definitely erred on the side of more of an investigative approach to things. They asked really good questions. They used a lot of the investigative tools that their characters kind of were geared towards, to kind of solve some traps, some problem solving, and learn a couple of things about what was going on. Now they didn't unfortunately they didn't kind of put two and two together until the Annabelle actually transformed, but it was interesting. Now, they didn't necessarily end up saving the town. Fortunately, they got kind of caught flat-footed and the town was attacked. Kind of left them on a little bit of a cliffhanger, so the verdict is still out there if Silverrook is still standing or not.
Ooh. I like cliffhangers though. Actually,
Yeah,
it gives.
never trust anyone named Annabelle. You're right. You're right.
It's just named as bad vibes. Or maybe it's just because it's been tied to like horror movies before that just there's a natural untrust for the name Annabelle. Sorry to any Annabelles that may or may not be listening.
But you automatically sus if you have that name. That's basically what Matt's saying. He's never going to trust you.
Exactly.
At least Matt's honest.
Until the day an Annabelle out there can prove me wrong, I'm going to stick to this belief.
But yeah, that is kind of the gist of a series of unfortunate events in Vizima. And it's one story that I still kind of have ideas on, and I'm planning on expanding. So for those of you who are interested in playing, let me know.
So if I change my name to Annabelle, I could be the first innocent Annabelle. Is that what you're telling me?
Why are you implying that I trust you?
I was going to say, Greg, come on, man. You should know better. We don't trust you.
Wow. I'm feeling the love tonight. It's fantastic. All right, man. So that
anyone has if you have any questions, feel free to ask Matt, Greg. If you have any more questions you want to ask about the cast of characters, the town, feel free.
Well,
from Gemma, the main character of your fantasy book is Annabelle. I don't know. Are they possessed by a ghost or something? Because then I think that would work.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us a little backstory on some of these characters? The pre-gens, and what went into those, and what was that?
Annabelle McShay? Oh yeah, super suspect. So some of the background on the cast of characters. All right, give me 1 second. Let me pull up some of the notes here.
Yeah, well, from the pre-gens, you did use a couple from actually our previous one-shot for The Witcher.
I did.
Right?
Yeah. Yes, I did. I used Egil and Anastasia. I used 3 characters that we already had already made up. And Jason Nikhil, who was the Witcher.
Anastasia was actually a pretty awesome character.
Yes.
And
was a very interesting character.
I had some folks that really did an awesome job playing the Witcher in there. I just have to say, but I think my favorite. I'll wait. My favorite character.
Honestly, so to give you guys some background, the three kind of pre-gens that we kind of had from a one shot that I ran as we were showcasing the Witcher TRPG. Jason was played by Greg. Egil was played by Matt, and Anastasia was played by Harper, who's actually in the audience. And so Anastasia's kind of background. Now I don't know what if Harper had background for it, but I actually kind of came up with my own. She's Nilfgaardian, and she was basically born under kind of an auspicious time of year for the Nilfgaardian Empire. And she was very much a kind of no nonsense, knew what she wanted to, once she realized that, she could wield magic, knew where she wanted to go and what she wanted to do. I wouldn't necessarily paint her as cruel, but definitely kind of an icy exterior. And it, unlike, what some people would think of as magic, and keep in mind in the Witcher universe, mages and
are monsters.
Magic and all that. Yeah, mages and anything unnatural is viewed with disdain, and the typical rural kind of, medieval, dark age superstition. Even witchers are almost legendary in the universe. So those who wield magic are not necessarily viewed in a kind light. So it wasn't like, sunshine and rainbows, clawing her way to the top of the food chain within that society was filled with a lot of intrigue and backstabbing and resolve on her part.
I'm
One of the
biased.
other characters.
I want to hear about Jason. I'm biased, by the way. Just so
I
you know.
mean, Jason, we can talk about him. Jason is also ironically of Nilfgaard, but his life was marked by a series of hardships and kind of trials that, ironically enough, usually accompany most individuals who become witchers. So for those of you who don't know, the witchers are typically taken from orphans and castaways. Obviously, almost exclusively taken as children. Unfortunately enough, children are the only ones who can survive the trials that witchers go through, both physically and mentally. There are 4 different trials. Most of you, who've played the games, probably know the Trial of the Grasses, but there are actually 4 of them. Trial of the Grasses being one of the first, and that's the one that changes the child from a human to a mutant. Yeah, that is true. People think, they think witchers are just, super enhanced humans. No, they're actually not even human anymore. They age slower than regular humans. They're stronger, faster, smarter. They're definitely not human. It changes the characters on a genetic level. And Jason, growing up in poverty and essentially homelessness in Nilfgaard, was pulled from that by a passing witcher who was kind of recruiting for Kaer Morhen, which is the school of the wolf. And through, he managed to survive the trials and training and became a full-fledged witcher himself. So not much to say other than, he did the typical witcher things. Went around slaying monsters, and once he was done slaying monsters, usually the people that hired him spit on him and told him to get the fuck out. Witchers are actually even less well liked than mages. They're seen as abominations, and are not well treated. Anybody in the chat's played either the Witcher games, seen the show, or read a book, read any of the books? And by the way, yes, they actually started out as books before they became video games, and now subsequently a TV show and a TRPG. And yes, man, Witchers are criminally underrated.
Hey, Gemma?
I'd highly recommend you play it, Gemma. It's really, really good.
The Witcher,
Really, really good.
the Witcher universe definitely, even the TTRPG for sure does encapsulate that dark kind of grim vibe that you get from the series and from the video game. But I gotta say, I actually quite enjoy that game because there's a lot that you can do with it. It's very much created more or less, in my opinion, more or less as a one-shot style game. But a creative GM and creative players could definitely make that into more of a campaign style thing fairly easily.
Oh yeah,
Depending on
yeah.
what you want to do with it, and it's got a very large world that goes along with it. So
it does. And the thing I like about the Witcher TRPG is that it uses magic. The Witcher universe does have magic in it, but it's not like D&D where magic is over the top and kind of it's really a catch-all. You can pretty much, you have an answer for everything with your magic, and there's really no consequence to it. In the Witcher universe, there's a consequence to everything, and if you're creative enough and inventive enough, you can do a lot, both as someone who wields magic. Say you're a witcher or a mage; those are the actually only 2 classes that can wield magic, and most often women are mages. or sorcerers. I think they're just called mages actually. But most often than not in the Witcher universe, it's females who are mages. And on the flip side, there are no female Witchers. Lore
Lore-wise, you're
wise,
right.
there's two. There are actually no. I did a lot of digging into this. There are actually two females who managed to pass the trials and survive. And for a while, there was another nation. I can't remember the name of it. It starts with a Z, where the queen was a mage herself who wanted to build up a cadre of witchers of all walks of life, male and female, and they managed to kind of create a unique blend of the trial of the grasses to facilitate that. But most of them are dead at the current state, the current stage of the Witcher canonically. They're all dead.
So what does all of this have to do with Umimi? I do believe that was the name of our female woman at arms.
No,
No, you're thinking of the solo pre-gen.
Solo.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
We'll get to her later, but yeah.
What was the name of the?
The female man at arms. In here is Arlara. Unfortunately, no one actually played her. I liked her.
They did in my games.
Oh, they did.
Oh,
well,
absolutely.
Go ahead. Like, give us some lowdown, because no one played her in my game. The only people, so the characters that were played in my game were Egil, Anastasia, who was the mage, Jason, who was the Witcher, Juliana Devrim, who is the doctor, and Omdor. There we go, was the bard. Omdor was definitely a fun character to watch play out.
Well, we did it a little bit differently between like the virtual games and the live games, because with the live games we went with a full roster of
Yes.
6 NPCs or 6 pre-gens, and
Yes.
then for the virtual games we cut that roster to 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, some of the player, some of those characters, I can't believe nobody played the Man at Arms. Wow.
Me either. I expected everyone to try to go for the Witcher because it's the Witcher. I expected that one, but no one went for the Man at Arms. I was kind of surprised.
Surprisingly enough, the Witcher was not like the most popular character in the
At your table
in the live games. Right. I mean, it was a role that was filled in every single game, but it wasn't like the most requested.
Most people went for the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And again, there's nothing wrong with playing a Witcher in the Witcher game, but it's definitely something that I would imagine is probably atypical for.
Actually, Anastasia was one of the top ones.
Cool character, very very cool character.
She was.
Also, people like magic, so
people
that makes it very
magic.
appealing.
Bah humbug.
Yeah, people do like magic. I prefer more mundane characters. I'd probably play like a Man at Arms or a criminal or something like that.
So the live.
By the way, again, we did do a playtest and a one-shot game of The Witcher. So if you go back through our catalog of episodes, there are our Thursday episodes or RPG games. You'll be able to watch that. We go over both the system and we do a live one-shot of said system.
Yes, and right around that time, we also did an interview with Cody Pondsmith, so you can check that out.
Who is the
as well.
lead designer of the Witcher TRPG. Yep.
Yes.
So, and he did a fantastic job with that one. So hats off to you, Cody, if you see this.
So the live game that we created for GaryCon, the one I ran, actually the story was a little different than the virtual story was, and the phenomenal thing about it is I did not have one player, not one, that had ever played the system before. So every single player all weekend long that played The Witcher was new to the game. So I actually had to adjust the content that we had created, and I added in a couple of scenarios as basically teaching tools to teach the combat system. And it went over really well. People enjoyed the hell out of it, and especially because the combat system is designed to speed up play, so that also makes it a little more crunchy. But it's designed to speed up play so that if you have a larger group, not everybody's sitting there for a half hour between every turn. They actually get an opportunity to interact more quickly and do some pretty cool stuff. I mean, it was a lot of fun, and the live game story concept was somewhat similar to to the virtual game, with the exception being, well, there were werewolves and witches in the actual live game. So and if you played it all the way through to the end, you actually got an opportunity to decide the fate of the Lord, which was very interesting. Yes.
I bet.
There were a couple of twists in the storyline, so it all followed along with the Witcher obviously getting this job to go check out, basically hunt down a werewolf in Westbrook, which is a little place far in the north next to the Blue Mountains. And when the group is on their road traveling there is when I decided to add in the little combat tests. So the very first thing they do is encounter a group of bandits along the road. And
You gotta have bandits. No game is a real game without bandits.
It was a load of fun because these bandits were like purely designed to be cannon fodder more than anything else. And we actually, it was different groups approached it different ways, and we actually ended up RPing some with these bandits, so it wasn't just like an all-out free-for-all, let's go kill the bandits, pitchforks in hand. So we ended up interacting with these folks. The scenario was built to give them clues, like right off the bat, that okay, something's not right here. And most of the groups, all but one, I did have one group of murder hobos that decided, you know what, we don't like these people, we're just gonna, wipe them out and take their stuff. Hey, whatever, man.
The bandits get bandited,
Right.
Yeah, they're playing the bandit game, so they won the bandit prizes.
you guys only thought you were bandits. We're the true bandits here.
Yep. Oh man.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun, and they able to take down the bandits. One group actually took in one of the bandits. I forget what they named this character. He was a younger gentleman who wasn't quite the brightest fella. But they actually took him in and made him part of the group. So I ended up playing an NPC as part of the group.
Was he like the party's pet? Was it that kind of deal where the party gets a little pet and that they just carried around all the time?
Sort of, yeah. It was. Well, I designed this character. I mimicked the character of like Hodor from Game of Thrones. Yeah. So big, not too bright type of character, and they decided to adopt him as part of their crew and have him tag along with them. So
did he survive is the question.
He did. He survived all the way to the end. It was
okay,
quite amazing.
Hodor did not, and I'm still kind of pissed about that.
Bro, spoilers.
Right.
It's not like your ass ain't gonna watch.
It's true. I've never watched Game of Thrones. I haven't watched a single episode.
We actually had one Witcher who decided that the right thing to do was to try to remove the curse from the werewolf. It was kind of a mixed bag. Some of the folks just wanted to kill the werewolf. Some of the folks wanted to capture, fulfill the job, which was to capture the werewolf and take the werewolf back to the constable of Westbrook. So there was a couple of groups that wanted to do that, and there was one that was completely successful. I actually got one full playthrough, even with the stuff that I added in, one full playthrough of the scenario. I did have a criminal who decided to ply their trade in Westbrook and try and find the criminal element in Westbrook, and ended up getting their purse snatched by a bunch of little hooligans. But
Ego being a scrub. How's the criminal gonna get robbed?
it can happen. It can happen.
Certainly not my Egil.
That's like it's a skill issue. It ain't me.
We're
It ain't my character.
gonna have to put that to the test.
I just won't play Egil ever again. And you won't be able to prove me wrong if I never play him again.
I sense coward.
He's afraid. He's very afraid.
You know, there's some battles that are worth fighting, and this just isn't one of them.
So with that, I'm really curious to hear about this other virtual game that we had going on. If we're we've moved through. By the way, we are giving away really quick before we move on, just show you guys these. So here is one of the Witcher books that we're going to be giving away. We're going to be giving away 2 of these. We're also 2 of these. This is
Pull back from the camera a little bit. It's not showing. Okay,
there
there
we
you
go.
go.
So
Yep.
this book is probably one of my favorites outside of the main book for the system. The system itself is actually completely contained. So all you really need to have is the main player's book, or the main book to it, and it gives you all the mechanics. There's a small monster manual, everything you need to run the game. And this so happens we're also going to be giving away 2 of those. And here's that. The main book for The Witcher. So absolutely, if you are interested in those, please do support the channel. For every $5 you tip, you get your name entered for one of those.
$5 get a
With
And trust
that,
me, they are definitely worth it. Again, you get the base book, you get a whole system. You can play right off of that. Don't need anything else.
so with that shameless plug done, how about if you tell us all about the Bozos?
Yeah, tell us about the bozos, Matt.
Okay, so I'm going to hold a few things back, and that's mainly because I'm actually going to be running this for you guys tomorrow. So I don't want to spoil anything, but I will give like some of the premise and some of the fun parts.
Let's listen to this guy. He thinks he can hide things from us.
I mean, Rob's my roommate. He already knows most of what's going on there. But
I know some things, but I don't know all the connecting dots. There's one character that I'm interested in meeting in the game.
okay, yes. All right. So so I ran a cyberpunk one shot called Bozo Bonanza that involves the Bozos, which, for those who don't know, in the world of cyberpunk, Bozos are one of the gangs, and their shtick is essentially that they're a bunch of killer clowns, like heavily augmented. Where most clowns just have like makeup and like have like elongated shoes. These guys would actually biosculpt themselves, so those like colors on their faces, that's actually their skin, and that they would actually elongate their feet. Like aren't all clowns killers?
Yes.
I'd say like 85%.
Yes.
You know,
Aaron, that is the philosophy I subscribe to. That's why I hate clowns. If I ever meet one, it's shoot on sight, ask questions later.
yeah. I mean, the Bozos are actually so heavily augmented that about a third of
That's the
of
deal.
them
Tomorrow
are
night
actually
we're gonna kill all of his clowns.
Look, I'm just saying the Bozos would give it a run for its money. You know,
Probably.
you do not mess with those guys.
Unless you're a bunch of solos who are finally tired of their shit.
Yeah, so I guess a bit of the lore involving them is that in 2077, like in I guess the current continuity of Cyberpunk, the Bozos aren't really much of a thing anymore, because back in the 2040s, honestly, a lot of things happened with the Bozos. There's like a split in their there's like a split into two different factions. One of those factions went and shot up a certain bar called the Forlorn Hope, which which you guys will actually be going to in tomorrow's game. And
We get to shoot
the
it up
Forlorn
first.
Hope. I mean, that's up to how you play, I guess. May not go well, but you can always try. And the Forlorn Hope it's kind of like, think of the Afterlife, but for the people who aren't like big enough to get into the Afterlife. It's a very similar thing. We have like a bunch of freelancers and edge runners there and stuff. And the Bozos, a group of Bozos, went there in the 2040s and shot the place up. And it's a place that is visited regularly by a bunch of edge runners, especially solos. They decided to go on a hunt. So in the 2040s, you had this civil war between two Bozo factions raging all across the city. Meanwhile, you had solos out and hunting any clown that they could find. So, and I think there's a couple other things going on, but essentially 2040s were a crazy time for clowns, and they all essentially disappeared after that. So in 2077, they're essentially more of a rumor, like a scary story you tell your children to get them to behave, than like an actual real thing. Except for, I guess, if you played the 2077 game, there's Ozob, which his existence is a little interesting, considering definitely seems like a bozo, especially if you just reverse the letters of his name. So the premise is that kind of similar to the Witcher bit, where there's a string of murders, but instead of like the believed culprit are bozos, which is already strange in of itself because they're not really supposed to be around anymore. So the group goes to the Forlorn Hope and meet with their fixer, who I think you guys might recognize if you've ever tuned in to our Cyberpunk stream games, and essentially get the details where they really don't have many leads because the bozos don't pick and choose specific types of people to be their victims. Like, they really operate all over the city. They kind of just choose people at random. But the only lead that they do have is that there's one person who made a police report recently about apparently having seen some clowns recently. So the group, with that being their only lead, head out there and try to see what they can find. And so that's kind of the premise of it. There's definitely the investigation portion before they eventually find their quarry. But there is one character, and I'm very excited for when you guys meet him, because every group that I play with, I ran 4 games of this one shot over GaryCon.
We can pluck his arms off like a fly.
I mean, if you so choose to. This guy was treated differently by every group that came across him. And of like the 4 games, he had like 3 different fates for him by the end of the session. So that character was the most fun for me. For you guys who are going to be tuning in tomorrow, probably know who I'm talking about when you see him, and I'm very excited to see what you two and Harper do with him tomorrow.
Kill him.
Oh, yeah.
No. We'll see.
I don't know. Depends.
Execution style.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, but probably tomorrow after the session, I'll probably talk a bit more about like how you guys did it and some of what the other groups did, because some of those groups did do some pretty cool stuff, but I don't want to spoil anything right now.
Cool. We got to play it tomorrow, so I guess questions are kind of like, I mean, we could like we'll drill in and find out all the good gory details.
Yeah, but as far as characters went, it surprised me because we all kind of did the same thing when we sent messages out to our players. We kind of asked them like, who we kind of let them know like these are the characters. What's their top pick or like top 3 picks. So we could give them the pre-gen sheets for the game.
Yeah.
And of the characters that people were requesting, in my case, there were 2 that were fairly popular that kind of surprised me. One being Kane, the med tech, and which
And yes,
actually
we
I don't
did.
think that one's super surprising. It's the med tech. It's a fairly important kind of role to have
So
in your party.
quick FYI here. We did use basically the same pre-gens from Beyond the Wall for the Bozos. So
Oh yeah, same characters. And the one that really surprised me though that I got a lot of people asking for was Sirota, the media. I didn't think she was going to be that popular, but surprisingly, she was. That's very.
I had
that's
an awesome Sirota, man. All 4 sessions.
Fair enough. I mean, also the thing with media is they're an unusual profession. They're an unusual profession for sure, especially in the cyberpunk universe. I will say that about the cyberpunk universe, the IP has they take a unique spin on a lot of things, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it's definitely a class that, frankly, not super well suited to like one shots, and definitely far more suited to like a campaign play in regards to like their overall like role ability, because it's all about being able to gather and spread information. That's what they do. But there's also just the skills of being a really good talker and being able to find things out. That's very useful.
Yeah.
And that unique roll ability in which the Sirota in the live game for Beyond the Wall rolled horribly every time she tried to use that roll ability.
Oh no.
That's rough.
No one to answer her calls. Oh no. Got ghosted.
They left her on red.
The disrespect.
Seriously.
So why don't we go ahead and go through the other pre-gens, Matt? Because I mean, you put a lot of work into those pre-gens. I mean, obviously we all worked on this stuff, but you were kind of the main guy for writing those things up. So
he was.
So credit to Rob because he did write did do some for Umeme the solo, but
a little bit.
I did do a lot for these guys.
I get some credit too because I told you to do it.
You know what? you did.
Greg, we all did. For those of you who don't know, we all worked on pretty much all of the stuff, both The Witcher and Cyberpunk stuff. That was definitely a team effort, and God, what an effort it was.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start with the one that I've actually played before on one of our streams a while back, Curly, the Nomad. Curly was a fun character for me, just like a kind of like a weird guy, apathetic, but just a bit of an oddball, and just having a dog, because having a dog is always fun. I think if there's anything role players love to have, they love to have a pet, like a pet for the party, Yeah, I think Curly scratches that itch for a lot of people because I know in my last game that I ran, the person who played Curly was super excited to have the dog. They had
a level of depth. You can really play off of a like a companion.
Yeah, but so one of the things I did for pretty much all of the characters is that I actually, for the most part, used the game's own character creation as far as like their life path went to kind of generate who they were, like where they come from, a lot of the aspects of their life. There were some times where I would like because you roll for all that stuff. It's like D10s for all that stuff. So I kept rolling, and I would just pick what it got. Sometimes I would change certain rolls because sometimes it'd be like, oh, someone else has already got this bit, so I don't want a bunch of repeats of a certain aspect of their stories. Or sometimes it just doesn't quite make sense for these two things to exist. Like for the media Sirota, it's like what kind of media are you? It's like it could be like a blogger. And it's like, how do you get your message across to people? And there's the second option that is through a blog, and it really doesn't make it sense for anything to be anything but that,
Mhm.
So it's like, well, if you're a blogger, of course you use a blog to get your message out to people. So
I mean, yeah, you'd think.
yeah, but honestly, you can. I'll give some credit to Artal because you can actually get a pretty good base for a story if you just roll those pieces there and
Yeah.
make some minor modifications.
The-
But
the
that's
li-
kind of how I did it.
The life path system is absolutely awesome. I just want to make a
Yes.
note here that that's one piece that we missed talking about The Witcher, because The Witcher does actually have a really unique life path system as well.
Oh yeah,
That
the
is
Witcher's
one-
the Witcher's life path system actually has some mechanical implications for your
Benefits.
character.
Yeah,
You use
benefits
certain,
or negatives.
skills or items or stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. It can affect more than just the story, which depending on the player, I guess there's a level of min maxing that could be there, but
Yeah, but most of the time, again, with similar to the Cyberpunk Red system, you roll for all of that. You roll off of a table essentially for both systems. So kudos again to Artel Sorian for putting that together. So for those of you who don't know, who've never played either of these systems that are in the audience, basically the life path system is similar to if you've played D&D, like the background, like the character backgrounds that you can kind of pick that you typically give you proficiencies, but way better. I'm sorry, D&D dropped the ball with that one.
well, I don't know if better's the right way to put it. It's just about D&D keeps it more simple, while
I say bet in
while
the real,
Cyberpunk kind of
Better.
expands upon that.
The word you're looking for is better, Matt.
yeah.
Better.
The reason why I personally think it's better is because for folks who might struggle to write up a character backstory or who want to add more depth, the life path system for both Cyberpunk Red and The Witcher give you ideas. They give you kind of points to start with and develop off of. Whereas the background, piece, the background piece of D&D is it's crap. I'm sorry, it's crap. I'm gonna call it what it is.
And you can tailor quite a bit when it comes to that life path system for both the Witcher and the if there's one piece that I really love about Artel Sorian games is that life path piece, because you can tailor those life paths as much as you want to, as long as you're working with your DM. It literally says roll or pick on all the options. So
yeah.
So if you have a kind of an idea in mind and you just want some points to flesh out, you can sit, like Greg was saying, you can sit down with your DM and pick what you want, or you can leave everything up to chance and just roll and see if the dice fall in your favor. I mean, we actually have a character in our private game that Greg and I sat down and kind of created, and I already had an idea in mind, and it was fortunate enough that I rolled for everything and things literally fell in place for what I was looking for.
I think typically they do. Most times they do. It ends up making sense in the end, even though you may roll some things along the way where you're like, but once you put it all together, it ends up making sense.
Yeah, you can create a really interesting and unique story based off of those points. So again, kudos to Artel Sorian.
All I got to say from a DM aspect, that life path piece creates so much content that you can use to improve the player's experience, that it's don't leave home without it is really my philosophy on it, because I've been able to create some really interesting storyline for players based off of that life path.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's something that I think I'll probably use in other systems or find a way to use in other systems because it's just that good.
Yeah, I mean, it gives people a very good base to work with, to then kind of expand upon and kind of flesh out the rest of their character.
Hmm.
But yeah, and that is all kind of what I did for each of these pre-gens, and
All right.
minus for a few changes. And when I wrote those backstories, took a few liberties from what was rolled on the life path, but it gave me some fun things.
So Matt, we covered Sirota, which Aaron here in the chat actually played Sirota for all 4 sessions of Beyond the Wall. I really would like for you to talk about Momo.
Yeah, sure. So, one quick fact about Sirota, real quick though, is that Sirota is Russian, and the name Sirota is actually Russian for orphan, which is honestly part of her backstory, that she's an orphan kid.
Yep.
I tried to keep a lot of the handles, which are kind of like the code names for these characters, relevant to their culture that they originate from, for the ones that I could. Couldn't find something that sounded cool for all of them.
Right.
Cain, not actually a reference to Cain and Abel. It's actually a reference to a Hawaiian god that I believe symbolized like love, or is a good type of god. Something like that, love or family.
Depends on
Something
who you
like
ask, man. All gods are good, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Depends on the mythology. There are definitely some not good gods out there. But Momo. So Momo is the 7th one that I created. Since Greg got a 7th player in his games. Also,
Thank you, Harper.
Thanks for the resub, Harper. 11 months in a row. Oh my god, that's almost a year. We've been at this that long?
We have our anniversary coming up for Twitch.
Yeah,
in like a month. So
holy
1 year
shit,
anniversary piece.
Okay, Jesus. But yeah, back to Momo. She was the last character that I created, and it kind of had to be a rocker boy because there were a couple classes that we didn't really want to deal with. Mainly like the exec and lawman, because those two are kind of like, think of them like summon classes.
Yeah.
And from a DM perspective, like especially if you have a larger group, that could be a lot of that could slow things down a bit. So we kind of steered clear from that. So that kind of just left the rocker boy. And I was going through the life path bit, and there's a specific spot where instead of rolling, I saw an option and I took it. And that was the type of rocker boy it was. Because in there I saw Idoru, which is Japanese idol. Which, for those who don't know, Japanese idols, they're like, what would be the? I think the closest Western equivalent we've ever had would have been like Hannah Montana.
Probably.
Where, it's like usually a fairly young girl, kind of having this character, not like as themselves, but as a character, because Hannah Montana was actually Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of the same thing, being a musician, going up on stage, singing, dancing, and all that stuff. Actually, it's actually very popular over in Japan. And I saw that one, I was like, yeah, okay, that's it. So that kind of served as the basis for her character, where like there's her in the act and then there's her in reality, because idols always have, most of them, always have to act like very cute, innocent, it's their stage act to be popular. Meanwhile, like the reality of show business is very cutthroat. So there's like her not in the act where, yeah, she's like, I mean, I wouldn't say she's cutthroat, but she knows how the business works, and she has her ambition to make money and no, she's not quite the cute innocent act that she puts on. So that was
All
a
right.
fun
I
part
like
in
it.
creating her character.
And
Which I'm
Momo
I'm
Money.
glad that Unholy Pawn had fun with Momo Money, because that was one way I created it. I was like, this one's gonna be niche. I feel like, and I didn't think it would be that appealing to people, but I'm very glad that you had
well,
fun with Momo.
one key note there is, I mean, we definitely offered for, yes, we created pre-gens for the story content just to make the whole process a lot easier. And in particular for people who were new to the system, just to give them a basis to go by. But we did, as we rolled out the characters and the character information for everybody who basically went through and told us, hey, yeah, I like these characters, these pre-gens in this order. We're very open about them being able to modify those characters and create their own backstory, and do some different things. And so that's why I really wanted to kind of talk a little bit about Momo, is because the Momo in Beyond the Wall, which I'll talk about after a bit here, but it was very different and awesome,
and that's
but
perfectly
very
fine.
different.
I mean, I had a couple of my folks who made some changes. One of them switched Umeme from a woman to a man, and that's all fine. The thing that I told everyone, like all my players, is this is the character, but feel free to play your own version of this character. Be it race, gender, appearance, personality. Feel free to make whatever changes you want, because at the end of the day,
have a good time.
It's we're here to have a good time, and just take those parts of the pre-gen as more of just a suggestion. You can go with that if you want, or you could always change. You can always completely change the character to no longer resemble who they originally were. It did not matter to me. But it is still encouraging that people did have fun with the characters as they were, or only saw fit to make minor alterations, because that meant they were fine with most of the character and that they still had fun with it.
I think most of the characters were most of the people played the pre-gens. For especially for the live game. I mean, most of the people played the pre-gens. I had a couple. I had 3 players that were in every session, and those players, they went a little further with it and did some modifications. Kind of came up with their own story for it, which that's awesome. I really encourage that. Whether it's a pre-gen or not, make it your own it. But yeah, really, really good stuff. So there's a couple more. Do you want to share some other fun facts about these pre-gen characters that we had? I mean, Umeme was definitely, because there's some story behind that name and background as well.
Yeah. So Umeme, in the because whenever you do the life path and you choose your cultural origin, it always gives you like a very general area of the world. I believe in Umeme's case, it was South African or something like that. And for each of those general areas, I honed it into specific countries for each character. And I chose Kenyan for Umeme because I've actually went to Kenya about a year ago. 2 years?
About a year ago.
I'm losing track of time. And honestly, I fucking love the place. I went to the Masai Mara National Park or Preserve. I don't think it's a national park. And beautiful landscape. You could also tell the air was very clean out there. Like it's very different just looking up at the sky over there compared to like here in the States, or even at Nairobi, their capital city. the air quality there is also very different from out in the the wild. And so I guess so that was kind of the thing that kind of made me say Kenya. And then the name Umeme is actually Swahili for lightning. So kind of like I guess it's just sort of like a cool sounding name. At least I thought it was.
I think it was. The story behind it is quite awesome. So,
yeah, Kenya's a beautiful country. A lot of pictures that I took out there. Honestly, my favorite one's not even of the animals, though I did take a lot of that, but just the landscape. Beautiful sunsets.
I really thought about being facetious and asking you if you had any of the trophy pictures, you and the rifle and the. But I know better, so I thought I'm not going to go
there. No, I think I think we probably would have been put in jail if we were doing that.
Well, it sounds like they're really good about policing that kind of thing over there as well. So I mean,
oh yeah, like one of the first place we were at was a part of the Masai Mara that was actually a rhino preserve, where they were because rhinos population not doing so good, so they're trying to like preserve them, kind of get that population going back up. Fun fact about rhinos, because there's the white rhino and the black rhino. That they're only called that because because someone misheard one of the locals describing the rhino to them. I can't remember if it was probably like an Englishman or something. When they were speaking to the natives, they called it a wide rhino, not a white rhino, because the white rhinos actually have a wider mouth, and they use that to kind of eat grass. Meanwhile, the black rhinos have a bit of more of a narrow mouth, and they usually eat leaves from like bushes and stuff. So they misheard, and instead of wide rhino, they got white rhino. And because those ones were the white rhino, the other one obviously had to be the black rhino, even though they're obviously not black. So kind of funny how that came to be, just from just mishearing someone. Also, black rhinos, super aggressive. They would charge the Jeep even from a distance, where it's like, oh yeah, they're looking at us. Okay, we gotta go. Do not mess around with black rhinos.
So let's.
But yeah, that's the fun part for Umeme.
Let's take a moment and talk, because I definitely want to talk about swag a little bit, because I got to show off these bullet dice because they are awesome.
Yeah. So for those of you who are part of our Discord, he actually posted up some pictures and I think a video of them as well. But go ahead, Greg.
They were. God, they're so cool.
Swag.
They really are.
It does. Hey, I got a piece of swag on right now. My Gary Con GM shirt. Yes. The special piece to it is, this year was the 50th anniversary for Dungeons and Dragons, and a special tribute to Gary Gygax. Really, really cool thing happened while we are down there. The Gygax, Gary Con, Luke Gygax, the Gygax Trust, gave Mike Pondsmith a Lifetime Achievement Award. So really, really cool stuff. Well-deserved Lifetime Achievement Award, by the way. So
definitely.
With that, I put some pictures up here. These are coming right off of the CZYY website. So check these out. I actually got given a set of these bullet dice at the con, and they are absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. They're nice and heavy, just like you'd expect. So they just have a there's when you roll one of these things, you rolled something. Versus the light dice that we usually deal with. I had these out at every table all weekend long, and two of my players actually, Chad and Andrew Skrull, were both using bullet dice all weekend long. So we had that opportunity to really kind of show these off a little bit, introduce some people to a really cool add-on to your game.
Yeah, they have some. I mean, they have some quality stuff.
Mhm.
The bullet dice just being one of them.
If you want something that really has some body to it, is a really cool addition to your game and can make the some fun gameplay. Pick up some bullet dice. I like them very, very much. So with that, other swag. Obviously, we got some sponsor material from Artel Sorian, which we're going to be giving away. Shirt. We all need more dice. Yes, we do. We all need more dice. I need more dice. I got a bunch of new dice from GaryCon actually as part of the GM's package. They gave out some dice, some other swag. If you are ever thinking about running games at one of these cons, I definitely would suggest looking into GaryCon. It's a smaller con. Up here in Wisconsin. It is put on by Gary Gygax's family. So Luke Gygax is the president and owner of it, I do believe. But it's a small, more intimate con. That's the best I can say about it. I mean, Gen Con is a massive, huge beast of a thing, and they're two totally different things. They're both awesome. But if you're looking for more of an intimate experience where you really, where you have the opportunity to meet some new and interesting people and people that are like-minded, enjoy games, be able to sit down at a table and play with a group of folks without feeling like the whole world is right there on top of you, then check it out. It's in the facility. I mean, the Lake Geneva Grand Lodge is very, very nice. Very, very nice place. So with that, I mean, if anybody that was there has any comments about it, please do share them. I know there's quite a few people from the Twitch community, our extended community, that were also there and engaged in gameplay and running games. So we got I got to meet a few really interesting people, such as the Legends of Avatros group. Got to see them. Also, and I feel horrible. I cannot remember the guy's name. King Ezekiel from The Walking Dead. He was there playing. 2 tables down from me, sitting at Greenwood's table was the Big Show and a couple other celebrities. So that was fantastic. All right, so with all that, you guys ready to talk about Beyond the Wall?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I know I've had several people that have asked about what the rest of the story was from the weekend. So high level view of Beyond the Wall. Beyond the Wall is a story that is based on something that was created in our personal games, and we've been running that campaign for going on 2 years now. And we decided to adapt it to something that we can publicize, that we can publish for people, and something that we can run at con. So we took chapter 1 of the story and we broke it up into 4 parts, and I ran it at GaryCon. And so just going through what this story was, and I really am appreciative of the players, because they had a lot of fun and they really kind of dove into the story of it. So much so that I didn't even get to give them all the content. And I had to cut some things here and there because everybody was having so much fun with it that there wasn't time.
Yeah. So one of the things is that originally the 4 sessions was going to be the whole story, but as we were kind of building things out and using our personal game as reference, we eventually kind of came to the realization that there's a bit too much there to really be able to fit in just 4 sessions. At least not without seriously condensing things down, which
Way
I
too
mean,
much.
already there is some condensing down that we've done, but also a lot of changes that we've made. So that was kind of the reason why what ended up at GaryCon was essentially chapter 1, because that's kind of because that was kind of like our cutoff point, because we weren't going to be able to get the entire story in just 4 sessions.
So high level piece to kind of run through this story. I want to give a little bit of background piece for folks. So session 1, which was ran on Thursday, first day of GaryCon. Session 1 and what that is about. All starts out with them meeting the fixer that Matt was talking about earlier, which I am, hats off to you, man. That Apollo was like one of my very first Cyberpunk characters. So bringing him in and making him a lore figure has been absolutely exciting to me. It's fantastic. But so our group, which are the same pre-gens that Matt was talking about before, meet up with their fixer, Apollo, and they get a job. And I'm going to stop right there and go to you, Rob. You want to tell them a little bit about that job and who they meet there? And
yeah, so like we said, this part of, well, not part, most of this story comes from our private game, and Apollo being our fixer and Greg's character, you actually get to meet my character, Roland Glasgow, who is one of kind of the NPCs, and he's a member of the Haywood Highwaymen, which is a rock band from the 2077 timeline. And basically, he approaches the group with a job to help get back their lead singer. Unknowing of everything else that's potentially going to go down. But who in Night City doesn't have their secret? So it definitely, it was interesting for us to, like Greg said, take our characters and put them down as canon. I mean, they're canon to us, but again, this is something that we're going to be definitely building upon and putting more out there. So, the character of Roland Glasgow, who, the drummer for the Haywood Highwaymen, is, he's going to be out there. And same thing with Apollo and all the other kind of NPC and PC characters that we have out there. So for those of you who interacted with Roland, what did you guys think? Did Greg do him justice?
Nah, he was pretty lame.
Yeah,
Ouch.
Seriously, cool.
Damn.
Ow.
So
no love.
So the very beginning of the story is the group gets a job to basically rescue a kidnapped victim. Right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And it's like kind of like a yep to good, not lame. Okay. Don't worry, Rob. Roland was liked.
Okay.
And, yeah, the initial job was.
I am sorry, I wrecked your whole world there, buddy.
Yeah, the heart broke.
Kind of I mean that kind of is Roland, though.
See,
that's kind of how he
even
is.
one of the players says he was kind of a dick, man. You should be proud of me. I played him well.
I mean, yeah, he is kind of a dick. He's kind of a dick, but he's a rocker boy. They're kind of self-absorbed in a way.
I mean, they're into showbiz.
Yeah,
I would say most probably are played like that, play that way. But
So-
yeah, this job kind of started. It started off simple, you know, go rescue the girl, that type of thing. And I believe like initially, like in our private game when we kind of did this kind of section, you kind of fashioned it a little similarly to like that intro mission from the 2077 game.
I did, but in the initial story, the Nightingale was actually kind of a side quest piece, is how it was introduced, because the original first mission was not to rescue this singer. The initial first
No.
mission was to rescue the daughter of a Japanese grocery store owner, essentially.
Uh-huh.
And
That is true.
it just so happened, that as you guys were trying to do this, you ran into this situation where, Roland knows this girl and here she is, and yeah, kind of took off from there.
She was just there.
She was just there.
But yeah, so I mean, as I said before, we definitely made a lot of changes from our private game to the module we were developing, because some things don't work the same way without the same exact characters being in play, and as well as also just kind of, I guess, tidying things up a bit, I guess, in terms of the story.
I don't think you ever tell a story the same way twice.
Probably not, especially not in roleplay.
Right. If you do, you're doing it wrong. I mean, if you want to make it fun and exciting and something that people are going to enjoy, then it has to be adaptive. You know what I mean? It has to. You have to approach it as being a framework, and then the storytellers tell a story. Yeah, she was a good shot.
Yeah, the Nightingale, she's definitely more than meets the eye. That's fucking sure.
So yeah, a little bit. So that was really the whole story for session 1. Was they get hired by the band, the Haywood Highwaymen, and they get to meet Roland. Roland kind of hires this group to go, in essence, save his girlfriend. Yeah, she's the lead singer of this band. But there's also a little bit of a hint in there about the story behind the story. So as the team enters into this nightclub, which is owned by Apollo, where the Apollo wants them to meet him, called the Eclipse.
Wait, he owns that place?
Yeah.
This is news to me. I thought he just liked the place.
No, man, that's his hangout. That's his spot.
Okay.
Apollo got deep pockets, man.
You should know that by now. I mean, he gave the Red Ravens their own building to use. I mean, come on. Anyway.
Yeah, that they've blown up a couple of times.
Yeah, they have.
Partly by Roland himself.
Whoa! What's with this Roland?
Mostly.
You blew up our front door with the grenade.
I did not. I don't even know what the hell you talking about.
So they get hired to rescue this girl. They get to meet a secondary character in here, which I didn't really get a chance to introduce as well as I had wanted to, and that was Pixie. And Pixie basically is the net runner that they quasi meet in Apollo's office, and gives them kind of the details on where to find this girl at. Then they head off to save the girl, and that's when the chaos started for session 1, and it was quite awesome. The additional character that we created, which Momo unfortunately was sort of an afterthought. We created that character specifically because we had a situation that dictated we needed another pregen. So that's what put Matt into, I got to create another character mode, and
yeah,
we ended up with Momo Money. Absolutely. And it was awesome. It was awesome. Momo Money actually ended up being the leader of the group in session 1.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
surprising.
Um,
That's really surprising.
and the character was played really, really well, and you would be so proud of him. Roland would be so proud of him because for whatever reason he decided that he had a key to every door, and it just so happened that it was a grenade. So
Right, man.
I mean,
Great minds. Great minds.
As someone who has played a barbarian in D&D, I
Yes,
get the
trusty.
feeling where it's like, it's like, why pick a lock when you can break it? Yeah.
Why do I gotta open the door when I can just blow it off its hinges and walk in?
right.
With
Right.
style.
Exactly. So,
Hey.
I get it.
The rules, man. Style over substance, baby.
Exactly, and we had quite a bit of that in session 1. The player that played Curly, it was actually that session was the one that was the most interactive with the dog, because he actually did have the dog and whatnot with him. He decided he didn't want to use his own vehicle, so we created Curly with his own vehicle. I mean, he's a nomad, that's part of his ability and whatnot, so he decided he didn't want to use his own vehicle, and I think it was because the plan was to wreck the vehicle. So he talked Apollo into giving them a vehicle to use, and then proceeded to take that vehicle and drive it into the building.
Look, this is why you get a what was it, the RAM installed onto your vehicle, so you can actually do that.
Yeah, the battle plow, I think it's called.
Yeah, the battle plow. Yeah, that's it.
It was very funny, and it was some really awesome RP. The other characters that we had Kane and the techie in the group. They also did a fantastic job. They didn't get a lot of opportunity to the techie actually towards the end became very integral in the story. Our Revenant, our Netrunner, actually pulled off some really good stuff, and I know like session 1 wasn't necessarily meant to be super heavy for the Netrunner. But the player and actually I had the same player for Revenant in all 4 sessions, and he was really creative with how he decided to approach things, and kind of made some content for himself. So that was fantastic. So they get in here after this building is almost knocked down, basically. They get in here, they find the girl. And when they find the girl, she's hooked up to these machines. And the machines are not what you would think, where like you would be jacked into a machine and then your consciousness is communicating with the machine. No, these machines were downloading something to her. So that was the first, one of their first real indications that, okay, something's different here. And they had to figure out how to get her disconnected without one idea was to just walk up and pull the plug. Fortunately, the techie and the med tech decided, yeah, that's probably not the right idea. And they were able to get that situation under control. So that is the gist of session 1, which it definitely changed a little bit from the initial story, but it turned out to be really awesome. And honestly, it went very, very similar to the way our the initial prototype, the actual our game went. It went very, very similar to that. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully no one's hand almost got shot off.
Well, that was session 2 for you, though. I mean, that wasn't session 1. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know it was one of those 2 sessions.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Roland
yes.
gets beat up a lot.
He does.
Well, at least he hasn't lost any legs. I mean,
it's true. This is true.
Yeah, no, that was so bad. So in our personal game, it like pretty much round 1 of a pretty lengthy combat section, my character got shot in the leg and got an injury that severed the leg. So round
Blew his
one, I'm
fucking leg
down a
off.
leg. I have my character like hop after the guy that shot off his legs and just shoot him down.
Yeah, I will say that Gillian did hopscotch and actually get the guy that got him. How many times has he messed up? I know he's severed a leg, and I think he's broken a leg, hasn't he?
Broken a leg? No,
Or
you're
broken
right.
an
You're right.
arm.
It was like from a shotgun blast.
Yeah.
That broke a leg.
He doesn't have
yeah.
very good luck with his legs. He should just pack it in and get fucking metal
He's
legs.
an old man, so no. If he didn't have bad knees before, he's definitely got bad knees now.
Yeah.
Guys, you guys just must like Pain, because I mean I know it's not your GM because he's a really nice guy. He doesn't
Oh yeah,
he
sure.
does mean things to people.
Yeah, whatever helps you sleep at night, man.
So session one, ending out session one, the team actually stole the Blackwell vehicle that was on site. So
Well played.
yeah. And
Whose idea was that?
Curly.
Yeah. figures.
So yeah, he went right to it. He's like, yeah, I wrecked my vehicle, so now I'm gonna take theirs. What do they got? So fantastic. It actually worked out perfectly. So, and at this point, the story was going very well. They had a clue or two that not quite everything was on the up and up. They did, at that point they got the clue from the phone where the message that
Metalhead's phone.
yeah.
Good old metalhead.
Well, I had to change that
Double
part.
downers.
I had to change that part. I did introduce them to the idea of the double downers, so we got that all going. But right towards the time constraint, man, we had so much fun opening doors with grenades and driving cars in the buildings that it became kind of tight at the end.
Downers.
So
They never got to meet Metalhead.
Nope, they never got to meet Metalhead. That's okay.
Metalhead is such a good character.
Well, Metalhead will be, and that whole sequence of events will be in the publicated version. So people will be able to get that experience and find out all about our double downers, Debbie downers. I like that. I do.
Honestly, double downers, it sounds like a double downer sounds like a street drug that could exist in Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And that's
I
really
can
what
see
it
that.
sounds like.
They have so many drugs. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
So many drugs.
end of session 1, they roll away in their vehicle. Start of session 2. So start of session 2 come into the car chase. And there was a lot that went into this car. I'm not going to go into details because Matt's going to talk about the car chase here in just a second. But there's a lot that went into this car chase piece. You really spent quite a bit of time developing that out, and I was, I can't say quite proud of that story because technically all I did is provide some vision, and Matt actually wrote that piece of story. So with that said, man, why don't you just tell us about your car chase, brother? What happened here?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the first idea for the car chase came from one wanting to give the Nomad a chance to really shine and do their thing, but also because, like, I don't know, I feel like it's, at least in our personal game, I don't think it's something we really ever did in our personal game. So, like, I was like, I was like, what is this like? So I was like looking it up in the rules compendium. I was like, oh, okay, there's actually a lot of like things you could do in vehicular combat. Like there are all these like maneuvers the driver can do, the way that just like the cars work and stuff. So I was like, okay, I could do something with this. So I wanted to implement that with a car chase scene where after rescuing Sarah Morgan and driving off, they were pursued. And one thing I will say about cars in Cyberpunk is that they're surprisingly squishy because
Yeah.
without a special upgrade available to nomads, cars don't have armor like your standard character does. So
Mhm.
their HP is completely unprotected by any SP. So that means they can actually go down fairly quickly. And I think that was like one of the worries I had when designing this section. I was like our car is just going to get demolished immediately. Is it that's part of why I had on Curly's car the heavy chassis to actually give it more HP.
Mhm.
But honestly, I think it's a lot of fun. We did do some like custom mechanics for that bit with having the nomads driving rolls kind of affect everyone else and how they were able to roll.
Yeah.
Because it kind of makes sense where if the ride is super bumpy and they're swerving all over the place, it could be harder to like line up a shot that way.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, if they were keeping things smooth, makes it easier to shoot that way. So kind of ran with that logic in mind.
I gotta say that adding when we developed out that mechanic piece that you're specifically talking about there, that actually played really really well in the game. It really did. So it added just that extra little element to the car chase that gave everybody. It made everything else make sense. I think is really the best way to put it.
Added some stakes to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just vehicular combat. It's fun, but it's also a little weird because of how squishy cars kind of are. Like you think in a lot of like games or even like in movies, in car chases involving guns, it's usually like, oh, take out the driver.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the easiest. It's like the best way to deal with things. In Cyberpunk, honestly, not really, because it's a lot easier to shoot the car and take out the car than it is to actually hit the driver and actually kill the driver because they probably most likely have some armor on.
Hey man, I even had them pull out an RPG and try to take these guys out. They were doing good. Our team was doing really good. And how many vehicles were there, Matt?
I mean that's on you, Greg. I never added the RPG in there. That's a Greg special there. He whipped up on the spot.
It's like, you know what this car chase needs? RPGs.
Yes.
Now let me ask you a question real quick. How much collateral damage did they cause for the other people on the road? How did that piece go?
We didn't get we didn't get into the collateral damage piece, and literally that was because it was very intense. There was
a lot of the focus was on the party and the cars.
Yes.
Okay.
And I know that was part of the mystique that was created in there was, look at what's going on around you kind of thing. But we never really got into that a whole lot. It was very focused in this chase, and essentially in these three bad guy vehicles trying to take them down, trying to get them to stop. So yeah, unfortunately we didn't get to collateral until the point where we'll explain the collateral here in just a moment, because there was some the bad guys became the collateral. How about that?
Oh, when the Borg came down.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So that was a fun part to kind of write that out.
One piece. Now they did activate the mechanics behind Sarah in the vehicle. They did do that. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no.
I remember us talking about whether that was going to be possible or not,
Mm-hmm.
and I think by the end we veered towards no. But it sounds like you decided yes.
Well, I had those mechanics all written out. So, and the way it went, it went right perfectly in line for, okay, you guys activated the Nightingale.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
she didn't do anything much. It was really just kind of a little bit of a show to, because she has these guys in her face, and then there was a threat that was there, and Sarah Quinn. So boom, yeah, they activated the Nightingale. And she didn't hurt, but she did attack Kane. Yeah, she did attack Kane. She didn't actually hurt him. Well, she might have done some damage, but I mean, not like try to kill him or anything. So that mechanic definitely stays in. It's a good piece for the story, and it definitely added something unique to everything that was going on.
Nice.
Yeah, I liked it, and I think the group really, especially the characters that got to immediately interact with her, it was definitely something that kind of shifted the story for them and gave them more to play with, which was great. And then we struggled with taking out these vehicles, so that was the other piece with activating the Nightingale. In what Darkpawn was talking about. Yeah, three versus one in the RPG. I didn't actually fire the RPG on their vehicle. And I basically added Sarah into the Nightingale into the turn order. And when it came around to her turn, she took out the dude with the RPG. So he never got a chance to blow anything up.
Okay. I was about to say, like, our rocket is like 8d6 damage. That could one shot a vehicle.
I was trying to get them to stop, because that was the goal to it, was to try to get them to stop, and it just so happened that this group, and rightly so, fantastic, they decided they were not stopping. They were gonna go. So tense, very tense. So with that, the introduction to number 2.
The Borg.
Go for it, Matt.
That was a fun one to write out, because just because it has like this is like a very heavily modified Borg, like not quite Atom Smasher levels, but like still some of the same vibe. So tried to play into that power of this Borg jumping off the kind of an above freeway, kind of crashing down onto the road and just charging this laser to shoot at the party. And I was like trying to decide, like, do they? And there was a part where I was trying to like figure out in my head, like, do I make this part of the game where they can actively try to dodge it? But if they don't, then this thing will definitely like tear through their vehicle like butter and probably ruin a lot of things. So I kind of decided to keep that more of like a cutscene type thing, where they just barely survive by one of the other vehicles ramming them and just happening to budge them out of the way of that firing line.
And it actually worked out to where the players, in particular Curly driving, had lined up both of the other, because at that point they had taken out one of the 3 vehicles, and the other 2 vehicles were heavily damaged but still going. He had managed to get both of them lined up on the driver's side of the vehicle.
Oh, okay. So when that laser fired, it got both of them.
Right.
Okay, that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it worked out to be really, really awesome.
Yeah. Now, did they get the hint as they were driving past the Borg?
A couple of them did. A couple of them did. So, and you know, just to explain what was going on there a little bit, we also developed a mechanic there. I mean, we didn't really make a mechanic for it. It's just basically it was like there was one opportunity for them to pick up on something very special about this Borg. Go for it. You tell them. What is this, Matt?
Okay, so maybe it's where as the group kind of passes by the Borg, obviously you're driving and probably going at a pretty high speed, so it's a detail that could be easily missed. That's why I kind of tied it to a perception check to be able to recognize this. But if the player succeeded on this perception check, that they would actually be able to see that this Borg, like their face, had a striking resemblance to Sarah Morgan's. And this is another one of those hints that there's a lot more to this than you see on the surface. I mean, I guess especially after in your game, the Nightingale actually activated. So that's
Yeah, that was interesting.
that's another big thing. So I guess by then there's quite a few things that the players know that like this is not normal. There's something weird going on.
Right.
Once she was activated, did she like say anything or interact aside from like attacking?
No, I stuck close to the mechanics that we created, where it wasn't like necessarily a full, you know, the Nightingale takes over type of thing. Right.
Kind of powered on, so to speak.
Right. It was more of a self-defense type of deal where
Gotcha.
you know it was an involuntary reaction, more or less. And you know the personality stayed the same. What, you know, basically as she was designed, where she doesn't know, she has no idea what is going on with herself. So she does these things and basically freaks herself out, where it's like, holy shit, I just shot that guy in the head, you know, type of thing. And that played really well. Sternum rubs, yeah, the sternum rub thing definitely did got you an interesting reaction, did it not? While she was out in the vehicle. So, you know, when they first take her in the vehicle, she's out cold. So our Dr. Kane decided that his primary purpose in this car chase was to try and wake her up. And he did all sorts of things. I mean, like cuticle depressions and a sternum rub, and yeah. So when you wake up to something like that, I mean, how do you react to that?
I mean, I have like practically zero medical knowledge, so I don't know if those are like
pain response. Your response with violence.
Right. It's cause enough pain to basically shock them awake is the idea behind it, without actually hurting them. But
yeah, okay.
So we've made it through the car chase, and so we designed this with thinking that the car chase was going to be probably about an hour and a half. So we would get through the car chase piece in about an hour and a half. It actually ended up taking longer than that. And we had some activities in there that could have curbed it some, but unfortunately everybody was not rolling well. So Sirota was actually at this point trying to use her roll ability to call upon, you know, resources to help them. Which would have helped play into, you know, the second act of this. So here we are. We've escaped the vehicles that are chasing us. We have met this weird Borg-looking chick, sort of in passing. Our vehicle is completely effed up, and basically the fuel tank has been hit, so it's, you know, the fuel's basically just about gone, and we pull off the highway. Now this next piece, which I do want to kind of cover what we did here, but this next piece was never actually played through because the timing piece just didn't allow for it. But with that said, go ahead and tell us about the missing Act 2.
All right. So that was a piece that I worked on, and essentially the group ends up in the combat zone. And for those of you who don't know, the combat zone in Night City it's lawless. A lot of poser gangs reside there. A lot of folks on the lower, although most people are on the lower portion of the economic ladder. These guys aren't even on the ladder, essentially. Individuals that live in the combat zone. So the group pretty much ends up there. And my inspiration for this next piece is a condensed version of the movie The Warriors. For those of you who've ever seen it, basically a group of individuals have to make it from one part of New York to another part of New York, going through hostile and contested territory. So that was kind of the inspiration for this one, and I actually came up with a gang called the Stylish Savants, basically a poser gang off of 1920s gangsters. Think like Al Capone and that kind of ilk. Think and these guys are just super flashy, pompadours, bright, purples and blacks, and
Funk style.
yeah, their leader, Lorenzo Suave, is an individual who's not afraid of getting his hands dirty, but he's more of a grifter, con man, kind of prefers to talk his way into and out of trouble. And my idea for this was, again, to give some friction to the group, but not in a way that was just pure combat, like constant combat. That allowed the different characters, like the rocker boy or girl or the media, to use their role abilities to kind of talk their way past this. Because the thing with Cyberpunk Red, with the Witcher TRPG, they offer options. They offer a lot of different options on ways that you can approach a particular situation instead of just smash first and ask questions later. So again, to kind of balance the hectic shootout / car chase that happened, I wanted to give the group kind of a way to talk their way, con their way potentially past and through the Stylish Savant's territory and the in the combat zone. Now, that's not to say, if folks didn't want to, wanted to take the more pretty much Unholy Pond. Can you dig it? Yeah. I mean, they had fedoras and everything with feathers. It was I like the mental image of these guys was great. Eventually, we'll get some artwork for them, but trust me, they're going to be a fun piece once you get to play them in the module when it comes out. Yeah, the goal was to give those characters who are not expressly combat focused a chance to shine and kind of showcase their ability. And there was options in there for potential role play options, and if you rolled really well, potential allies. You can get the savants on your side and kind of helping you move through the combat zone to safety. But yeah, that's the Stylish Savants in a nutshell. We're definitely go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. Finish that off for sure.
No, I'm just excited for people to play them because they're characters. Again, I mean, just think of a bunch of guys with vests and purple shirts and ties with pompadours, looking classy as fuck.
I felt bad that we missed out on that piece, the timing piece, so I had to cut that.
That's all right, man. You got to make adjustments on the fly. That's cool.
We did get a little bit of the mechanics because I did take them through kind of the outskirts of this combat zone to get them to the end scene.
Gotcha.
So we got a little bit of it, but we didn't really get an introduction to the Stylish Savants. We didn't get that full impact that was designed in there. And it really, the unfortunate part is you can't control that piece. It's got to be
No.
based on, you know, the gameplay piece. And we're from our standpoint, we're writing a story as a framework for people to play in. So it's not what we try to do is not create it so rigidly that you have to do point A, point B, point C. You know, you don't have to do that. You can go through it depending upon what the mood flavor is as far as the group goes. And in this case, we had only about a 3.5 hour time window to do each session. So obviously the ending had to happen. So the ending didn't quite go exactly the way we had written it, but Matt, you wrote that ending, and I really would like for you to tell people what it was actually written like, and then I'll kind of tell you how it went.
I'll
Okay,
actually fill out.
so I guess I shouldn't be surprised that things went a little differently, because this is definitely a type of thing that I could see a lot of players trying to throw a wrench in it, which, you know, that's not a bad thing at all.
Mhm.
So the intention with the end is that as they kind of come into this open space in the kind of like this how do we describe it? Like a plaza of an apartment complex, something like that.
Yeah.
Um pretty much have them be surrounded by this group that they've been uh kind of at odds with, like the same group that was chasing them down the highway, you know, not long ago. And the way I was writing it, I tried to make it very obvious that they are very heavily outnumbered, very heavily outgunned, and the point was kind of like you know, you're here, you're very surrounded, cliffhanger for next session. That was kind of the idea. But Greg, why don't you tell me what ended up happening here?
Well, actually, it did end up being very close to that. There's some more detail that we had talked about in the creation piece, that I didn't get to put in there, but we definitely got the impact piece to it of that overwhelming force style thing. It ended up being a little more quickly paced than what we had written it to be, because we were running tight on time at that point. But we got a good introduction to Odin, which is
Nice.
a new, another unique character that gets added in here at this point. We got a better introduction to what Blackwell actually is, with the stormtrooper style folks that they are.
Hopefully they're not shooting like stormtroopers.
I was about to say, hopefully their aim is just a little better.
Because stormtroopers can't hit shit.
A little.
Look, if they hit that car even once during the chase scene, I'd say they're a little better than stormtroopers.
Yeah, they definitely hit the car a few more times than once.
Okay. So they're better than stormtroopers. Seriously, I don't know what the Empire does with the training regiment, but it's not working.
No. Yeah, exactly. So they get introduced to Odin. I actually blended session 2 and session 3 together a little bit, and we had a little bit of time right at the end that didn't really, like 10 minutes, where I really was debating. I'm like, well, I can really wrap this up 10 minutes early, or I can take this opportunity to take a little piece of the beginning of session 3 and open it up here and let the players converse with Odin.
Okay.
Odin did separate the players from Sarah. There were 3 vehicles, loaded with Blackwell personnel, and then we were able to go into some of the conversation pieces and allow the party to ask some questions of Odin. So at this point, why don't you tell us a little bit about Odin?
Oh boy.
I mean, I'll say Odin is kind of mostly your character, Greg. I just tried to kind of flesh him out a bit
Yep.
from what you had originally told me of him. But I mean, the idea with Odin is that like he's kind of. I'm trying to think the right way to describe him, because I'm always like very wary of like how I deal with a character that someone else originally created.
Mm-hmm.
But like he's douchebag.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
That's an accurate summation of Odin. Yeah.
That's
I think
that's why I gave him to Matt.
I think it's like the way he acts and then the things that he does are like the things that he does is what shows his true character. Because like, I mean, I don't know how you ended up playing him, Greg, but like his creation.
I think Unholy Pawn just told you how I played him.
Because the intention is that he's supposed to come off as like kind of charismatic, confident, but also like a little no nonsense and kind of like almost down to earth a little bit. But he also, the way he does things can be very heavy handed, which kind of tips like what he truly is like.
Right. The person behind the scene deal. Yeah, very no nonsense. So that actually worked out really well. Feedback, man, because these are the players. Both Aaron and Unholy Pawn were at the table all weekend long, so they definitely got to experience the Odin and all the other characters as well. So really appreciate you guys a lot, and the feedback is awesome. But I think that, from my standpoint,
Sarota pissed him off.
I mean, I could see Sarota being like, because the way Sarota's written, I don't know how you played her, but there's a bit of rebelliousness in her, so I could definitely see that.
I mean, she's a media.
Yeah, so I could definitely see that rubbing Odin the wrong way.
She probably wanted to dig her nose into people's lives, and it's like, nah, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, there was a moment where I had to roll to see how, when the Nightingale was activated, there was a moment where I had to roll to see how the Nightingale was going to react to Sarota.
Oh man.
And so, I mean, Unholy Pawn is not wrong. There was a moment there where we almost had a really interesting situation going down in the vehicle, actually. But it worked out really, really well. And I at least I think the players really enjoyed the interaction piece, and the ending closed out session 2 in such a way that the lead in to session 3 was really, really smooth from my standpoint. And please do correct me if I'm wrong. But the lead in to session 3, so we get them to the Blackwell facility, and I scaled the Blackwell facility a little bit, kind of what you
up or down.
Up and down. Kind of
So
what we had.
the same.
Well, what we had talked about originally was really a little bit of a show of force type of thing, and I backed that off some from a manpower standpoint, and I upped it with automation, like turrets and and what was actually going on in the facility.
Okay, so less people, but about the same amount of like overall firepower.
I tried to leave the hint of the people being there, and that way the team itself would really be more stealthy in their actions versus being murder hobos and just try to shoot their way out. And they did a fantastic job with that. And okay, so I'm gonna go from, we get out of the vehicles, they're disarmed at this point, all their gear's been taken away. We get them in the cell. And then the story piece kind of starts up from there, and I want to turn that back over to you guys so you can kind of talk about what was designed to happen.
Yeah, so obviously I mean, depending, this is kind of based on the RP that you did with Odin, Greg, but part of the plan was that Odin kind of gave the group a proposition to essentially work for him, because like in his eyes, like this group has essentially proven themselves to be capable enough, considering how much trouble that they gave him, that he wants them to work for him. So he kind of gives them that offer, like while they're on their way to this facility. And so when he's put into that cell, and honestly, maybe cell isn't quite the right word. I mean, functionally, yes, because he does like lock it, but it's kind of like a waiting room that you'd see in like a lot of kind of like offices, like some like there's like some couches, chairs, a little mini fridge, some drinks and stuff like that.
I didn't give him the mini fridge.
You animal. How
Damn.
dare you?
Ruthless.
Felt like a cell prison cafeteria. Oh no.
Ruthless, man. See, we wanted to give you guys at least a little mini.
No.
Yeah.
Just
And
No.
yeah, and there's like this kind of, I guess, moment of quiet that was kind of meant for the players to kind of like discuss everything that they've been through, because like in character, it's been like almost nonstop since this job began. They went and rescued Sarah Morgan, did the car chase, went through the combat zone, got kidnapped by this group, and they've in their conversation with Odin, they've like learned a few things. So this was kind of like a time for them to just discuss between themselves like a lot of the stuff that they've learned and what they might want to do regarding that proposition. I imagine, just based off your guys's what you've been saying, probably did not consider his proposition very much.
Probably not.
I don't.
I mean, he is a douchebag, so
I'm not sure that they considered his proposition at all. I mean, from my standpoint as the the narrator to the game, that was kind of laid out there as a soft proposition of, hey, I might have some work for you type of thing. But I think their focus was more on what's going on with Sarah and how the fuck do we get out of here.
Yeah, and that was kind of the intent. Also, we didn't really want the players to take Odin's proposition. That's why we had him be like so heavy-handed in the way that he handled everything, to kind of like rub people the wrong way. That was very much intended to try to be like, this thing. He has this offer out here, but he really shouldn't be taking it. that was kind of how we made it.
I do have one question for the guys who played in at the table. As the characters / players, did you guys develop an attachment to Sarah, to the character of Sarah Moore?
That's a really, really fantastic question.
Yes.
Now, is unholy pun? Now, is that as a player or more as a character? Damn, Infinity Core.
Did not.
Aaron did. Okay.
You're lucky I like you, man.
Infinity Core coming out of left fucking field with the shade.
It's coming out swinging.
Welcome in, man.
So
Cool.
so
Okay.
Rhoda didn't like her, but Aaron did, the player.
Aaron did.
So
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And if you can kind of indulge me, why? What was the? Okay, so Kane, you answered kind of that question from a character's perspective, kind of that responsibility for Sarah. What about you? What did you like about the character as a player? And same question for you, Aaron. Why did Sirota not like her, and why did you, as a player, what drew you to the character? Dude makes cleaning easy. He actually, I ain't gonna lie. Some of them Mr. Clean products, they do be working. He also very definitely owns a successful business. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So for you, upon your character found out that there was definitely more to kind of Sarah than what was on the surface. He's a useless sack. This useless bitch ain't doing shit. We're over here doing the fucking heavy lifting. She can't even get off her ass and run. Gotcha. Okay,
that
so
was something I was kind of like I was kind of curious about, like how people were going to react to this character, but both in and out of character.
Yeah.
Right.
So it seems like again, you guys found her interesting as a character from a player perspective. Felt a bit of sympathy for her. It seems like, especially in Aaron's case. And Sirota was being Sirota, was just like, yo, bitch, do something. Quit being a fucking useless. Innocent and helpless, almost childlike. Well,
I can kind of see that.
I can see that, but
when the death mode hasn't been activated.
Yeah. There's I can't remember if that piece is in there, but there's definitely, you hit on something.
It's not necessarily in.
Huh?
Honestly, that's not in
in chapter 1.
Right. So
yeah, that's something a bit further ahead.
Yeah, chapter 2 maybe starts to really right unfold. Kind of unpacking the layers behind it, but.
Well, you guys were definitely paying attention, because there's definitely more to her character and to the story. And again, you guys will get to see that in the follow-on chapters to this particular story.
I gotta say this. I really, really appreciate that feedback personally, because one of the probably each of us had our aspects of this entire chapter 1 that we put together, and there was a focus person on each thing. As you can tell, Matt had particular pieces that he really was the lead guy in developing this piece, and Rob and I just kind of did the input piece about story and content and where we think it should go, and then Matt kind of took that and picked it up and wrote it out as, okay, here's what we've got. Sarah was mine.
Yeah, Sarah was
definitely your character.
Yeah, I created that, and so I'm exceptionally proud of that, and really, really happy to hear that feedback, because that's exactly the way she was designed. That was the whole purpose behind the character, was to really build that type of emotional response, to bond the players to the character, and then give them a reason to actually, want to save this person.
Even in our personal game, like her, as you guys learn in the throughout this chapter, Roland and her are bandmates. That bond is deeper, but to a different degree in our personal game. Like a lot of the team, the Red Ravens, that's the Edge Runner team that we play as, are tied to the character of Sarah Morgan, even in our private game. Everyone actually, feeling differently, of course. We have what, 6-7 players? 6 players?
Yep. Well, we were 8 for a little while.
Yeah. and everyone feeling differently towards the character of Sarah Morgan.
Mhm.
Some sympathetic, some not giving a shit, and everybody in between.
So to roll through, I mean, the rest of session 3, so is really the inside of the facility and making their way through there. There is one piece I really want to hit on here, because we introduce another character in session 3, and that's the Netrunner.
Oh, yeah, 6. 6?
Yeah, go.
Yep. The number?
Yep,
I'm
6.
pretty sure it's 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always get confused with the numbers.
She never actually identifies herself.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. Did anyone ask?
I'm pretty sure they did ask her who she was, and she more or less just played it off as, we'll worry about that when we have time. We need to do this right now.
Okay.
So- Well, 2 characters actually. I gotta back up a minute, because let's introduce this character, and then we'll tell them about the final character that they meet. Yeah, Sporty Spice. We'll get to that one in just a minute. So let's talk about 6 real quick. And Matt, you did a chunk of the dialogue here, and the idea of how this was going to work in the facility. So go for it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say as far as like 6 goes, herself, she didn't really give much about herself. She's definitely more about like, hey, this thing needs to happen. We need to do this. We can like talk later.
Mm-hmm.
So like for her personality and all that stuff, that kind of like takes a bit of a backpedal, because what she does is that she kind of is the person who helps the group kind of break out. Being a Netrunner, she's able to access the systems of that base, so she's able to like unlock the maglock that was on their door, and she tells the group that like, yes, Sarah's in danger, and Odin is full of shit. Based on your guys' reactions, you kind of already knew that from the start, but in case there were people that were maybe believing him, this person
ready to take up that offer.
This person kind of be like, no, do not. So she kind of like acts as a guide. Obviously, the first part being that the group needs to get their gear back. It's kind of guiding them back to get their gear. And I don't know, Greg, how did they play through this part? Because you're saying that they were actually managing to do it pretty stealthily.
They did. They did.
Considering I was actually the one to create the layout for the building, and kind of the general gist of what the players were going to encounter, and where Sarah was, where their gear was, and I'm interested to see, especially considering you changed up to a more automated defense system.
I broke it up a little bit, but the spirit of what we created was there. The group actually, after being helped to break out of the room, was very conscientious of what they needed to do, and they did a really good job sneaking through that facility, and they rolled well too, so that helps.
That always helps when the RNG gods are on your side.
Yeah. So they managed to find their way through this facility, working with Number 6 to shut down the security as they went through the facility. When they got so essentially they got from this main, let's say, office area that of the facility, and they got into the hangar area, which on the other side of the hangar area is where their gear was at. So they did run into an encounter in the hangar area of obviously there's automation in there, but I did add in a couple of security guards, and they got themselves into a little bit of trouble with the security guards. And when they got into a little bit of trouble with security guards, I introduced Sporty Spice, I guess is what they're calling her.
So what's this about brooms, Aaron? Did y'all like go to a janitor's closet and confiscate some
They
brooms
they
and
did.
mops and shit.
Very creative. They were like
Clever,
trying to
very
build
clever.
homemade bombs and stuff. To
I mean, if you ever look at a janitor's closet, there's plenty of things to make explosives in there. You just gotta know what you're doing.
So our resident nomad decided to, and our techie actually decided to steal one of the vehicles, try to steal one of the vehicles in the hangar. And our media was creating alternative ways to fight back, basically, because they didn't have any weapons at that point. So she got creative and found the janitor's closet and started going ham with that stuff. They did end up getting into a fight with these two guards, and that's when I had Sporty Spice. We'll just leave it at that. I like that name. That's when she stepped in to help them. Sort of. You know how she is. I mean,
she's a problem. She's a fucking problem.
So she ended up, engaging with the group, and they were able to get their own equipment back. She didn't help them with any of that. They did all of that on their own. And she stayed back with the Nomad trying to get the vehicle going so that they had a method of escape. Now, what I changed here is the original thought was that this would all be more or less in one facility. I actually separated out where Sarah was into a smaller, like a clinic style setup.
Gotcha.
And there was a sniper there that they ran into. Which,
those are never fun.
Hey, the party handled that really, really well, until they got into the building and one of the characters decided that, hey, this is a clinic, that means there's drugs here. So, and I forget who it was. I think it might have been the Solo, but I shot one of them, basically shot him in the face.
Goddamn.
Didn't kill them, but definitely wasn't.
Oh, was Sirota? Sirota took a round to the grill, huh? Damn.
But they were able to get Sarah back. And
Sirota was the drugs.
Yeah, Sirota was the one after the drugs. So we got Sarah back. We managed to escape this facility, but again, they had to disconnect her from these computers. Basically same situation as session 1, where she's hooked up to this machine and it's downloading information into her. So, the techie who's already done this once, goes and does his thing and actually manages to relatively quickly get her disconnected from this machine. Kane, the med tech, is there to help as well. But I think Kane is the one I shot. I think I shot Kane because he was trying to get to the roof. And as soon as he opened the hatch for the roof, the guy was right there and shot him. I don't know if it
You
was
always do that.
That's why you gotta clear.
When they open doors.
Look, that's why you gotta
gotta
clear
stop
rooms
opening
with
doors.
grenades.
That's it. There you go. There you
Just
go.
rooms with
Just don't
grenades.
open doors. We see a door, don't open it. Find another way around.
No, you just throw a grenade in there. That's you throw a grenade, close the door, and sit. Problem solved.
I can't help it, man. I grew up on D&D. Locked, closed doors mean traps. I mean, this is how it works.
Pretty much.
Momo probably would have handled that differently. But anyway, they do manage to escape, ending out session 3. Actually, a lot of fun. Our techie had... Okay, so I missed a piece in here that I want to acknowledge. One of the player of the techie in session 2, since they stole this vehicle from Blackwell, I mean, there was some stuff in there, some ammunition, some small arms and stuff like that. So the techie used his skills to take that ammunition and make an IED out of it.
Oh God.
He did not use the IED. And the
Uh,
person that played the techie in session 3 was a separate person. Obviously they didn't have their gear, but
uh,
that person also opted not to use the IED. So
why the
rolling
fuck?
well,
Uh,
so
There's still
rolling
one more session left.
right, rolling into session 4, it was the same player playing the techie from session 2 that made the IED that was playing the techie in session 4
oh, it gets used. Okay.
and still
Good.
had the IED.
That's
So
fine.
with that, they are in another stolen Blackwell vehicle.
No, these people
And
just like stealing people's cars.
they do, man. They're carjackers.
What is this, Grand Theft Auto?
That's the actual story, is that our edge runners are actually just carjackers. You know. So they jack this car with the help of, well, quasi help of Sporty Spice. Sporty Spice is okay. If you haven't guessed this already, I'm gonna just drop this here. There's a connection between Sarah and these other people, up to and including the character that we're calling Sporty Spice. And Sporty Spice, just to give you an idea of why they're calling her Sporty Spice, she is basically the cyberpunk version of Harley Quinn. If that kind of paints that picture for you. And she is batshit crazy, and I absolutely love that character. I loved creating that character, and it'll be one of my favorite characters for a very long time.
And it's definitely on brand with the cyberpunk universe. Definitely.
Yeah. So we managed to escape, enroll ourselves into session 4. So for the people who have stuck with it, we've had quite a few people in and out tonight. People have stuck with us. You get the breakdown of session 4 now.
The culmination of all of chapter 1.
And there's 2 pieces to this, because it literally is 2 stories running side by side. You have Sporty Spice and the rest of the group in the meat world, and then you have the story behind what's going on with Revenant, our Netrunner. Our Netrunner actually shined through most all of this. I mean, they did a really, really good job with it. But session 4 was really the time for the Netrunner to shine. And it all starts with this Harlequin version turning to the Netrunner and telling him, "You're gonna get lucky today."
Yeah. Coming from her, that's more of a threat than something fun.
And then she tells him that he's gonna have to jack into Sarah. Because she's out cold and they can't wake her up. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong with her. They can't wake her up. So session 4, they're escaping from Blackwell, and here's the trick to this: they're escaping from Blackwell, but Blackwell's not quite done yet. It involves more of their troops, the introduction of another special character, which sad. I don't know if you're gonna be sad about this or not, Matt, but Thor lived.
That's fine.
And some drones.
Who lived?
Thor lived. Thor was Thor is a key character in all of this, but he's also an expendable character. So he could have died here.
He's a good boss character to have.
He is. He's a minor boss, but he is good. But we designed it where he could die here, and that would be it. We would probably have to bring him back later on, maybe. But he didn't. So with that, I'll tell them about the net run piece and what was going on there, and I'm going to leave it to you guys to kind of tell what was the intent outside of what was going on with Sarah and Revenant. Revenant actually is the Netrunner in this story. So the pre-gen Netrunner that we made. So go ahead. You want to tell them what was the intent with the the final battle, I guess you could say.
Okay, so Thor, obviously going in line with the naming convention because we had Odin, and very much designed to be like Thor. Had like an electro hammer, some armor that could do electro shocks, as well as the fun bit of being able to throw the hammer and have it like come back to him. I had a bit of fun kind of making that.
I didn't get to use any of those mechanics.
Huh?
I didn't.
That's a shame.
I didn't get to use any of those mechanics, and I'll tell you why. After go ahead, explain this, and then I'll tell you what actually happened. And
I have a feeling it involves that IED.
Go ahead,
so,
man.
Yeah, he did have a mechanic where he could throw the hammer and then bring it back to him using a special magnetic glove. So it could be like Thor,
Going back Mjolnir.
Yeah, exactly. The origin of that character actually, again, comes from the personal game that we ran, where a lot of us kind of introduced secondary characters for us to play, and I actually created Loki. His story is a little complicated, and we didn't really have the time to work it into this because it does involve Blackwell. But along with Loki was Thor, and he's like just this very, very powerful fighter, and he's kind of on that verge of cyberpsychosis because of all the augmentations he's got going on.
Yeah, goddamn, he does.
So he's definitely very strong and volatile because of how close he is to cyberpsychosis. And also in our personal game, we haven't gotten to the point yet where we've really even had a confrontation with him. So creating him for this set for this module is like really the first real appearance he's ever gotten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's basically just been conceptualized more or less between you and I so far. So
yeah, so it was kind of fun, like actually being able to create him and like what he can do. But
yeah, I'm trying not to reread through things because I don't want to spoil things for myself. Because again, we actually haven't met. Well, we've met the character. We just haven't seen Thor in action.
In the personal game, I don't think you've ever met him.
We haven't met him.
No, I don't think so.
You've probably,
but,
you've probably. I'm betting you're thinking of the story piece to it because a lot of the story piece has been text that we've written out. So you probably read through that. Yeah.
But tell me how that fight went, because I feel like if there's any time to use that IED, this is it.
Yeah, that's what ended up happening. So they were pursued by drones essentially from the facility. They managed to knock out the drones, but the drones had done quite a bit of damage to the vehicle. Again, I decided to use rocket-propelled grenades. I like things that go boom, I guess. But so yeah, I messed up their vehicle pretty good. So they found themselves in an abandoned parking garage. And they pulled in there and basically set basically kind of set a perimeter. Now, along the way, we also reintroduced Momo. The Unholy Pawn. We managed to talk him into, and literally, we managed to talk him into playing Momo again instead of Kane. So he brought back Momo, and Momo, basically the story behind it was that because Momo left after session 1, so we were assuming that Momo was off doing something else for the group, and then ended up stealing himself a little crappy 2-door car. Or no, he actually took the vehicle that Curly had rammed into the building in session 1 and was driving that down the road. Yeah.
Coming along this rinky-dink
Beat up jalopy.
Yeah, literally like steam coming out of the front end. It's squealing as it's going down the road.
That's a good entrance. I like it.
And
goes to open the door falls off. That's fucking great.
So he manages to, see, because he's looking for his team, he manages to see this Blackwell vehicle that's being chased through the outskirts of the city, being attacked by drones. So he decides to follow them, thinking, yeah, this has got to be my team. So yeah, hope they had insurance. So he ends up reuniting with the group in this parking garage, and the team did a really good job of setting up their perimeters and everything for this parking garage. So it was challenging to try to get Blackwell in here. So I'd used a couple different tactics for the combat piece to this. To get Blackwell into this facility and to get Thor into the facility so that we could have that, that epic battle scene thing. And the players weren't having anything to do with that. So yeah, I mean, they set up a nice perimeter. They used what was left of the vehicle that Momo had as their first IED, and blew that up to keep the Blackwell soldiers at bay.
Controlling the battlefield.
Yep. And then somebody used smoke, and so here's where the techie came up with their plan, is to use smoke and then use the IEDs, basically figuring that these heavily armed security people would also use the smoke and they would come charging through. So he set the IED to go off as they were coming through. And took out most of the Blackwell personnel with just that one bomb. And they
be like that.
Well, they planned it so that there would be secondary explosions using the van.
Yeah, daisy chain.
Right.
Yeah, daisy chain.
So
I like it.
Really,
I respect that.
Really, really creative stuff. And they did a fantastic job, and they ended up defeating Blackwell. I ended up pulling Thor out of play because there was nothing left there to do them other than just have him go in and get killed. So I decided, yeah, we're just going to pull back on this and focus in on what we had going on in the Momo dropped the grenade on him. Yep.
More explosives.
Oh, they were just
had them walk essentially into a fucking minefield.
Pretty much.
I mean, when you're outgunned and outnumbered, that's what the fuck you do. You set the battlefield in your favor, man. If you got explosives, use them. I tried
to bring some pain, man, but they beat me. They beat the DM in this case. So then the story that was going on with Revenant, which is the reveal piece in session 4, which ties everything together. And to basically, so Revenant jacks into Sarah. This doesn't work like you would think it does, because Sarah is partially machine anyway, but still human, sort of. So he jacks into her, and he gets to meet the original algorithm of Sarah Morgan. Now, the original algorithm of Sarah Morgan is essentially a 13-year-old girl. And they get to learn the backstory piece of this. And the way they do that is by having Revenant actually have to net run his way through her memories. not a typical architecture, but a customized architecture which took him from one memory to another memory. After meeting the mini version of Sarah Morgan and getting the story piece from her, and then seeing these memories, just to give you a little bit of a taste to the memory piece to it. So there's a couple elements here that come into play. Because this is a unique situation, we had to create unique mechanics to go with it. And this Netrunner is not in what you'd expect of like the net. They're inside someone's mind. So there's a potential there, especially if the mind is strong enough. There's a potential there that whoever goes in, there's that constant struggle between who's in control, which mind is in control. So that mechanic is there, where as the Netrunner is going through this, he's encountering some things that are pretty natural, some regular black ice programs that are trying to basically kick him out, either kill him or just get him out of here, protecting the infrastructure. So Easter egg piece to this: Sarah Morgan was born in, I would say, around the time of the beginning of the actual Cyberpunk lore, of around 2013, when the first game was titled, Cyberpunk 2013. Not the split in timeline. So Sarah Morgan was born around that time. Well, no, actually, it probably would have been around that time. The distant future of 2013. So anyway, it tells the story of who she was, and more importantly, who her parents were. So you get to meet Doctors Elizabeth and Jeffrey Morgan, which are her parents, and find out the story behind that. The clue here is, so Jeffrey Morgan, you find out, was at the time a world-renowned geneticist. So he worked in bioengineering projects. And it just so happens that this is during the Fourth Corporate War, he was in the employ of Militech, basically working on a quote-unquote super soldier program. Both him and his wife Elizabeth, is a computer engineering, computer engineer, basically computer scientist. She designs hardware and software for major systems. Very brilliant people. So they're on and the two of them are stationed on a platform, a suborbital platform. So they're actually in space with their daughter. In part because the work that they're doing is at this point deemed illegal. So they had to take it off world. Yeah, yep. So you get to see through the memories of this little girl, you get to meet the original founder of the company that would become Militech, and see that relationship as it was between this guy, Stefano, and Jeffrey Morgan. And hear a little bit about the projects that they're working on. You also get a sneak peek to meet Bartmoss, Rach Bartmoss.
I love that character.
And we had to be really careful with how we created this, because we did not want to impact the lore of the actual of Cyberpunk. So we created a little pocket piece which really references off of the things in the timeline with Bartmoss and what Bartmoss was doing, the projects that he was working on. So we're very careful about that, but we wanted to introduce that piece in there because it comes into play later in the story. Not Rach Bartmoss, but just the information that's there comes into play later in the story. And then you get to meet and figure out who is Odin. And that's kind of a mic drop moment for folks, because they figure out that this bad guy, this Odin guy, the head, the owner of this security company that's may or may not have been trying to kill them, the ass that everybody met, very stern, very this, very that, is actually Sarah Morgan's uncle. He's Jeffrey Morgan's brother. And you get to meet a younger version of him on the space station through Sarah's memories. And the situation is that the station itself is under attack. So Arasaka is trying to destroy this station because they know that there's some sort of secret project. Of course, they have their own secret projects that are going on. One of those called, of the first early versions of Soul Killer, Makoshi and things like that. So the station's under attack. Jeffrey Morgan has a choice to make, because there's a shuttle there that essentially is just for him, to get him off the station. His brother Odin is trying to convince him that he should take the shuttle, get off the station. But Jeffrey Morgan's dilemma is, my wife and my child are here, and you're telling me that I should save myself and leave them here. So he decides to put his wife and daughter, Sarah, in this escape shuttle. Something bad happens. I'm going to leave it right there. Something bad happens, and the intention was, as we brought that piece of story out, that it was the climactic, impactful moment of the realization comes of exactly what is going on. Who is Sarah Morgan? What is Sarah Morgan? And then that brought us to the close. Now, the mechanic that was involved here additionally is that our Netrunner, who is stuck in these memories and finally getting that last memory, finds his way to the bottom of the architecture. It's a one chance deal. They have a decision to make. They can either push to find out what this piece of the story is. They can push to find out what happens with this shuttle. Or they can decide that they know enough and they can back off. Well, obviously everybody wants to know what the story is. So our Netrunner chooses to, if they choose to find out what the story is, they have a one-shot chance of life or death. Where essentially you roll a death save, and it's a modified death save, but you roll a death save, and if you fail, you die. Period. No matter, no hit points or anything else. Your mind just basically melts. If you choose to learn...
Did the Netrunner do it?
He did. He chose to get that last piece of the story.
And he fails.
No.
Oh, he passed?
He lived.
Nice.
He lived.
Very nice.
So yeah, I definitely congratulated Andrew on that, because that was fantastic. And obviously they can have the characters, but I just made sure to tell him, I'm like, dude, this is definitely you. This is your character. This Revenant is it's you. And with that, just a quick announcement for that, we're also going to retire Revenant from our grouping of pregens. That is now Andrew Cruel's character, and so we're not going to use it anymore.
Well, turn him into an NPC, maybe.
Yeah. Integral piece of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that brings us to the end. I don't want to give away any more than that to the end of it. I leave it to your imagination what actually happens there. It is a beautiful story, and it's one of those moments that had exactly the impact that it was meant to have at the table. It drew everybody into that piece of, like, Oh my god. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, man. I apologize. But yeah, so that's it. That would be
But
the
yeah.
end.
Yeah, that is the end
Chapter
of
one,
Chapter 1.
not the story.
Yeah, end of
Oh, there's
chapter
more to
1.
come.
Yeah, we have a little bit of fine tuning that we need to do. We had to condense pieces of it to get it prepared to run at GaryCon.
Yeah.
So the story itself is a little bit more meaty than what it may seem there.
Mm.
But yeah, that's chapter 1.
And I mean, honestly, it sounds like, and I hope, for those who weren't able to make the stream, but I honestly, I hope that everyone enjoyed it, that played it. It was definitely one of, it's a point of pride for the three of us that we were able to put that together, and for it to have the impact that it seems that it has. Especially considering, it started out as a private game, and we said, you know what, let's make this, let's put this out there for
Right.
people to enjoy. It's a good story, and it just gets better too. I think that is it. We're actually a little about an hour over our projected time. Oh no, actually, I
No,
think
we did
we're
3
right on.
hours. We're about 6 minutes
right
over.
on.
Yeah,
Okay.
still a longer than usual update log, but
Yes.
we kind of want to give like a post-mortem
See,
of everything that we did for Gary.
I
we did a lot.
I didn't even get my timing right for this. I went 6 minutes over.
Listen, timing things is hard.
Yeah, it could be,
and especially when it comes to like, creating a role-playing session that's supposed to go for a set amount of time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
A lot of times things end up running longer than you expect them to.
Yeah, it's a difficult piece. But with that said, awesome. I'm glad to hear that he's pumped, that he's Revenant. With that piece, I think we can call episode 46 closed.
Awesome.
For those of you who have who are curious about the Beyond the Wall, honestly, stay tuned. We have plans to kind of put this to publication, get it out there for you guys to play. It's again, as Greg said, we do have to fine tune a couple of things and kind of add some stuff that we weren't able to, that didn't make the final product to meet GaryCon. But and again, we've got to start work on the other chapters for this story because it continues.
All while working on our main product, continuing to work on our main product as well. So
yeah, which is called right now. We don't have an official name, but it is Project Horizon. It is our own system, a TTRPG system. Everything is custom made from the system itself to the world setting, all that piece. Matt is actually the head of that one. He is our creative director for that.
So if it's bad, it's his fault.
I'll blame it on the work I gave to you guys. You really put in about only 25%, and for that one instead of 110.
Wow!
No, seriously.
Listen to this guy.
I'm excited to kind of get back to it because, like, as we were getting closer to GaryCon, we kind of had to hit like kind of crunch time for the GaryCon modules, and we had to kind of sacrifice a bit of time on Project Horizon. But I'm eager to get back to like a normal balance of our work on different projects for this, because I feel like we've said it before, and I think our goal right now is to have like a kind of playable prototype ready for Gen Con.
Yeah, hopefully.
Which
that's the goal.
It's doable. I think it's doable. I won't give any promises just yet, but that is our goal, and I think we can get there if we
Yeah.
manage to make a whole full 4-part adventure module and then some for GaryCon. I think we can manage this.
I think you guys are trying to kill me. That's what I think. Also, yes.
Nah.
Okay, I see there. Jeez.
But yeah, so that is episode 46 of the update log. A couple of announcements. And first of all, welcome to Unholy Pawn, Aaron, and there was another individual that joined as well. Like I can't remember what their name was, but if you're listening to everyone who joined us, who followed us, thank you. Trust me, all the support is very much appreciated. If you haven't joined our Discord, links are in the chat, and follow us on YouTube and our other socials like Twitter and whatnot, where we post updates primarily to our Discord. So if you want to keep up with us and Razzmatazz channel, the update log, and get updates there and stuff like that, just join our Discord. Keep an eye out, as we will be putting together a Patreon for the Razzmatazz channel and our company Missing Context, and a Kickstarter is in the future, so keep an eye out for that. But again, we'll be dropping updates and stuff as those things come
As that happens.
come into play. Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's all the updates for
One,
me.
you never know what might happen. I mean, there's
Yeah.
all kinds of conversations that are going on out there right
Yeah.
now that we have our own projects that we're working on, but we may also end up working on some other people's projects.
Yeah,
So,
very much.
We could have met a lot of interesting people at
Yes.
GaryCon, and that could open up a couple doors for us. So we'll see where that goes.
Well, also
Oh,
we usually have guest appearances on the
Mhm.
update log, so keep an ear out for that new year. So, and now that we're done with the hectic schedule of GaryCon, kind of shift focus to that. So keep an ear out for that. That's all for the update log portion. Our GaryCon postmortem. Greg, do you have any other pieces you want to add for tomorrow's stream? Or wait, no, we're having a special stream tomorrow.
Yeah.
For those tomorrow, as I said near the beginning of the stream, I'll be running a Bozo Bonanza, the one shot I created for GaryCon. We'll be running through that tomorrow. So if you want to see some clowns in Cyberpunk, tune in. It's gonna be some fun.
Fucking clowns.
It's just too. There's so much room for goofiness. I could not do it.
All right, guys. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this evening, and setting through and getting some of the down low behind the product we created for GaryCon. I'm tongue-tied now, I swear. Definitely make sure you join us tomorrow night for Bozo Bonanza, which I'm looking forward to.
I'm super excited for that
destroying some clowns tomorrow night. You bet. And Matt killing me like he usually always does when I play in his game.
I might beef up the combat encounter a bit. Just for you guys.
It's fun. We all fun and games. I'll put it that way.
And yes, Infinity Core tomorrow is going to be a 3-ring circus.
Literally, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, there'll only be 3 of us, so does make sense, sort of. Oh, anyway. And then
you're the clowns.
Well, kind of. I guess that's for the audience to decide, because I'm quite sure it'll be confusing as to who the clowns really are.
Yeah.
So also coming up, probably, I don't have it on schedule yet, but coming up probably Monday night, we are going to do
yes.
a one-shot session, a solo session for Paul Raiden
Yep.
from the BOR.
Right.
To
You
kind of
guys finally get to hear more about the old man.
flesh out his backstory a little bit and let people know, where that character came from and why he is who he is, maybe something like that. And then next week's schedule, I don't think is quite determined yet. We have a couple of different things that we need to do. So Monday, planning to do this solo adventure. Wednesday, update log. So those two things would be locked in, and then the Thursday game, maybe episode 4, season 2 of the BOR. Or we may release a little bit more content from what we created for GaryCon. We may run a playthrough of The Witcher, or who knows? We'll see when we get there.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got.
All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good night. We'll see you guys next episode. Adios.
Have a good night, guys, and I think I will go ahead and raid us into the Legends of Abertas. Because why not?
All right.
And
Yep.
of
So
course, I'm late on this, so
as always,
yeah.
we got to figure out what do we say in the meantime.
It's tradition. It's tradition.
Tradition at this point. Yeah.
All right, everybody have a good night. Thank you very much for being here.
Yep. See you guys next time.